What is up? What is up? What is up, everybody? Hope everybody is well. Thank you so much for checking out the show. I'm actually kind of tired, but I wanted to sit back and I said, oh, you know what? I didn't finish this yet. So let me finish it. Confidence is contagious. Thank you so much for checking out the show. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah. Listen, I had a long day. So, anyway, so thank you guys for showing up. I appreciate it as always. Make sure that you hit the like button on your way in. What else? Being a member of the show, member of the podcast. Make sure you hit the membership button. Also, I expect that everyone is subscribed. Make sure the notifications are on, all that kind of good stuff. And make sure that you say hello on your way in the building. I thank you guys once again for showing up. Make sure you say hello so we can acknowledge you. If you are a Sage member, make sure that you let me know. That way I can put your name down at the bottom. I want to acknowledge everyone. And what is going on, Dr. Steele? Thank you so much for showing up. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Some good stuff is coming up over the weekend. I got a busy weekend for you guys. Anita's coming up on Sunday. I had 2 shows actually on Sunday. I double booked, so it's going to be a full Sunday. 2 shows on Sunday. Anita and I are going to go over the latest Cheyenne Bryant nonsense. I refuse to call her doctor. And then, I think those are 2 shows. So, all right. Blue Sapphire, what is going on? Welcome, everyone. Welcome, everyone. And yes, please hit that like button on your way in. Hello to you, Rhonda, and anyone else who's going to watch in the future. Make sure you hit the like button on your way in. Let's make it do what it do. I only have one warm-up video because I want to get into the show tonight. This is a good PSA for all you people who have college kids or you're thinking about going back to school in this big, beautiful bill that is now law, and we're seeing what they're doing. So this is a brother. I assume his information is accurate. I've been seeing a lot of people posting on the big, beautiful bill and what it's going to do and what the projections are. I don't know. It's not my area of expertise. So I'm putting this up there with any caveats. Make sure you check with somebody who's more qualified than the people on Instagram and more qualified than me. But it is something to think about. Let's see. Add to stage. And this brother right here.
Medical school, law school, and other professional schools will now only be for the rich. With the big, beautiful bill, they've made significant changes to how students can take out loans and how much these students can take out. Previously, there was a Graduate Plus program, which allowed professional students to take out the amount of loans they needed to cover the cost of their schooling. So, for example, I'll be transparent. My beautiful wife and I, we went to a Caribbean medical school and it was extremely expensive. Due to that, we had to take out a lot of loans. We ended up taking around $400,000 out each. With this new bill, they are eliminating that Graduate Plus program. And instead, you will now only be able to take out $50,000 per year up to a max of $200,000. Now, it's not just changing the loans for medical students and students going into law, it's also changing them for graduate students. And it's capping them at $20,500, I believe, per year with a max of $100,000. What's even more insane is cost of tuition continues to rise. So for people to go into these professional schools or even just graduate school, it is extremely, extremely expensive. So passing this bill and eliminating the federal loans that allow us to get these jobs is going to cause a great decrease in the number of physicians, dentists, lawyers, people able to afford graduate programs. This is a big issue. If this bill would have passed when I was going to school, I would not be a doctor today. And that is the same for so many others. Neither of my parents finished high school. They would not have been able to pay for me to go to school. There are so many other students in that exact same scenario. So what this bill is going to do is to make only the rich be able to go into these professions. I feel so sorry for the students with a story just like mine who maybe will not be able to become a doctor because of this bill. Medical school, law school, and other professional schools will now only be for...
Yeah. So again, check it out. I've been hearing a lot of information like that. So a lot of people are putting out stuff on Instagram and other places. Don't know if it's scare tactics or what, but it is something to be concerned about. And, this is why people got to be involved in, know what your local, representatives and senators are doing. Just so know who they how they vote. Make sure you write in, you email, make sure that they are representing you, and if they don't, get them out of office. Do what you got to do to get them out of office, because it's absolutely crazy. And they increased the military budget. I watch a lot of alternative information. Not, well, I don't want to say it like that, but I should say independent. I don't watch CNN, Fox News, but I watch a lot of independent stuff. And they according to one show I was watching, they're running military drills. They being U.S. military running military drills in case we go to war with China. Just like crazy, absolutely crazy. Like, but to cut Medicaid, cut student loans, cut all this stuff for the middle class that helps all the people get middle class advances. But yeah, we got money for the military budget. Just absolutely crazy. Yeah. Deborah Hutchinson, what is up? Hello to you, Miss Independent. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. She's following me on my other channel, going through some of my stuff. I see you liking stuff and commenting. I appreciate that. If you got anything you want me to cover, let me know. If you're not following me on my other channel, Dr. L's Breakdown, I'm breaking down a lot of police related stuff. That is my actual wheelhouse, if anybody didn't know. So that is, that's where I come from. That's what I did for my career. So somebody asked a good question about the Second Amendment. So I'm actually brushing up on that, and I'm going to do a presentation about the Second Amendment and my thoughts. This is just my opinions on what the Second Amendment is and all that, what it is and what should be and all that. So that's coming up on the other channel, Dr. L's podcast. Excuse me, Dr. L's Breakdown. So now that means I would not be able to go for another advanced degree because of this cap. Yeah, because of the cap. Yeah. They're capping you 100,000 for advanced degrees, masters and up, I think, right? And then I think, for the higher degrees, medical school, dentistry is 200,000, if I understood that right. I don't know what that would mean for PhDs, where they cap it at 200 or 100,000. But in a few years, a PhD is going to be 100,000. When I was looking around for mine, I want to say I was going to go to UCLA, and it was like 75,000, something like that. So listen, this is what they're doing. This is what they're doing. Wasn't there a change in the amount of Pell Grants as well? I think they lowered the Pell Grants, didn't they? Listen, they're always cutting the stuff that's going to help the middle class, the middle and lower classes to pull themselves up. But yet we got to pull ourselves up by our bootstraps, right? Crazy. This is why you vote in the local election. Yeah. I mean, the local election is important, but the local election, they don't control Pell Grants. They don't control the loans for student loans. That's all Congress. People say that, and you're right. We should vote in the local elections, but that type of stuff comes from Congress, and when you can't pay back student loans, you can go bankrupt or claim bankruptcy and everything else, well, just about everything else. Your house, all your debts, but you can't claim student loans. They want their money back. So yeah, so it's important to vote in the local elections, but your representatives and senators matter extremely. So a lot of people don't vote in the local election, which they should. Right. This is what the American people voted for, so now we just have to live with it. What my problem with that is that I don't hear enough from the other side, the Democrats, saying we're going to vote these people out and then we're going to change it back. That's what I don't hear. Vote them out of office and then change it back. This happened with the Bush tax cuts. And what was the other group? I was reading about it the other day. Those other guys that were Jim Beamer or John Boehner. Remember when he was in office? John Boehner, and it was the other dude. I can't remember him, but they did another round of tax cuts, and the Democrats, when they get in office, don't undo it. That's the biggest frustration that I have. Okay, it's a problem. Okay, you vote these people out, and we'll change it back. Why don't they ever say that? Crazy. Yeah, student loans are not bankruptable. Yeah. Can you cover the Tyree Nichols case on the other channel? Did I do that? Tyree Nichols. What's that name sound familiar? Remind me who Tyree Nichols is. I know it's a shooting case. Was that the Memphis one? Is that the Memphis one? And that's what we need to do. Crystal Wilson, welcome. Pay your student loans off credit cards, then file bankruptcy. That might be the key right there. That might be the key. All right. So that was the only video that I had for a warm up. I did not watch a lot of Instagram this week, so let's get into it. There. Thank you again. Thank you guys. And if you have not hit the like button, hit the like button, and let's get into this show here. Let's turn off these banners. Oh, the Memphis Police. I think I did that. If I didn't, it may be on Captain Hunter's podcast, which is still around. But I'll look for it. And if I didn't put it on, if it's on Captain Hunter's podcast, I'll put it on the breakdown channel as well. I don't post on Captain Hunter's podcast anymore. I'm just going to stick to those two. I'll look for it. I know I covered it, though. I know I covered it. All right. All right. So here we go. Add the screen. So this is the second part of this brother who's making his rounds on the internet. I did reach out to him. He's probably, he's on so many other platforms that he's, don't got time for the small people anymore, but whatever. Okay. So this is the second half of that video. Jeff James, who's blowing up. And so let's get into it. I have not watched any of this, so this is all new to me.
So what was the first reaction when you saw the show Adolescence, which is like based in self-concern?
I understand why it's extremely appealing. I understand why it's going viral. I understand why I believe it's the third most watched show on Netflix history after being out for such a short amount of time, which is crazy. But it's wildly history after being out for such a short amount of time, which is crazy. But it's wildly
being out for such a short amount of time. He ran through that so fast. So
off in most ways in which they try to categorize what's actually going on. I'm being honest with you. And the problem with it is several things. But the first is they clearly did not use an expert on incel culture. Any expert go on YouTube when you get the chance and type in incel experts review Adolescence and see all the data they have in comparison to how the show tried to cover it to a degree. And it was only 4 episodes, so there was only so much, of course, that they could do. But I'm going to tell you one thing that I loved, and I think they did.
I did not watch Incel. I know people have been kind of going through that. I did not watch it. And I did cover on my other channel. There's a paper that was written by a couple of academics talking about if there is so much incels, if incels are such a problem, why aren't there more violence? Why aren't they committing more violence, school shootings, et cetera, right? So that was an academic paper. So, but here we go.
Did get right, and it was very subtle, and I don't know if people actually picked it up enough.
Yes, that's it. It's on Netflix. What's the name of the show? What is the name of the show? I gotta rewind it. I haven't watched it.
Off in most ways in which they try to categorize what's actually going on. I'm being honest.
Oh, Adolescence. That's the name of the show.
School.
Yeah.
And they're trying to engage with the students, and it's very clear, like they're just missing it. Students aren't saying anything. Nobody's really wanting to work with them. Like they're just getting all this resistance. They're not really getting anywhere in terms of their investigation. And the lead detective, after he talks with his son, and his son talks about the red pill, and he's asking his son, "Did you see the Matrix?" And his son's like, "What's the Matrix? Like, what are you talking?" Like, and they captured the confusion of people who aren't in it.
Yes.
Who don't do this for a living, who aren't psychologists, who aren't psychiatrists, who aren't in mental health, who aren't in these spaces. Even people who are talking about it all the time. If you're not in it, you don't actually get it. When I talked about that mountaintop thing, you don't know what it's like to be considered invisible and useless to both men and women. You don't get it. You don't know that feeling. I don't care if you're the most unattractive. If you saw the show, what was it? My 400, 500 pound life or something like that, where they got to get cranes and break down doors to move these people. Why all these women got men?
What? Great question. I've always
because still, as a woman by default, she's still going to have value with some man.
Wow.
Those men. You got a 4, 5, 600 pound woman. What are you doing besides? I mean, oh my God! But then we're wrong for fat shaming. So what's going on, October? Everyone hit the like button. We should be at 20 likes. 20 people are watching. 24 now. Those men ain't worth a damn. Well, you're probably right about that. You're probably right about that. Do they really like those women? They probably like being needed, feeling validated, getting getting the woman something to eat, making sure she's bathed. They probably like doing like that. That's the only thing I can imagine. I mean, yeah, a psychological profile needs to be worked up on those type of men because I don't understand it. I don't understand it. Maybe that they like the fact that she's immobile and she can't run away or nobody else wants her. I got somebody all to myself. It's probably a lot of different psychological stuff that's going on there. When those men met these women, were those women at those weights, I guarantee you they were on their way. I mean, I guarantee you that they were a little overweight or whatever. Probably met them on some dating app for if I guarantee you they were on their way. Come on, y'all, get the likes up. Get the likes up. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right, let's go. Get the likes up. Let's continue on here.
But at a certain age,
she's still. But again,
you're right about that. They ain't running nowhere.
If the first 60 years of you living, you're seen as valuable to somebody, that matters. Versus in comparison, you can go your entire life and be considered a genetic dead end.
Exactly.
That is actually so interesting.
Yeah.
So on the show,
exactly, Miss Independent. This is important what he's saying right here. This is the genealogic dead end where guys, you want to know why guys are checking out. He's explaining it right here, right? Imagine going to high school, graduating, going to college, graduating, becoming some version. Maybe there's always room for improvement. But then you turn around and you don't get any play, any women, and all the. I was listening to something the other day. Maybe it was this. I can't remember. All this stuff starts to run together, but something like 1/3 of women are, 1/3 of men have not gone on dates, not getting any attention, under 30, but they only mention the women. They only mention the men. The women are not having the same problem. And because the women aren't having the same problem, they think that the men are not having the same problem. The women are not having the problem. They go on, again, they go on exactly what he's saying here. You go on to a matchmaking service, you go on Hinge or Bumble or whatever, you're getting hundreds of DMs. That's not happening. That's not happening to guys, but ladies think that it is. So guys start to check out. Why should I go to college? Why should I get a trade? Why should I get a CDL? Why should I open up a business? Why should I do any of that if because of my inherent features, I'm not going to be selected if they're only selecting a certain type of guy? This is the problem that dating apps have created. And so then you got men checking out. So if men are checking out en masse, what kind of problems are going to have in the future?
If the first 60 years of you living, you're seen as valuable to somebody, that matters. Versus in comparison, you can go your entire life and be considered a genetic dead end.
That is actually so interesting.
Yeah.
So on the show, these are lead detectives whose job it is to learn, to question, think of things on multiple levels. And they had no idea that there's a subculture of bullying and ostracization amongst not just boys doing this to each other, but on social media, other people who you may not even know also saying things about you, also targeting you. And it's not just the bullying and the tactics, it's also the shaming, it's also the rejection, it's also being seen as invisible. And it's a very, very, very hard way. It's a very hard concept to try to describe to people who, for most of their life, or they have yet to experience what it means to be invisible since they were 14 years old.
Right. Yeah.
They don't know what that feeling is. And I thought the show did
right. That's what the 14-year-olds are, the girls. By the time you're 14 years old, guys are following you around stores, following you at parks. You're out for a jog, out with your girls or whatever, and guys are talking to you, looking at you, trying to get your attention. And you think that that's happening to your peers, to your counterparts as a 14-year-old boy. No, that's not happening. Certainly not to the same extent. And then when you turn 18, 19, 20, you may be a cute guy, maybe physically attractive, but in order to really have a long-term successful relationship, you got to become somebody. You got to hit the gym. You got to get a job. You got to have a skill set.
A really good job, but the parents didn't see it.
Yeah.
The detectives didn't know it. But the second piece I thought they got really great was when they found out, oh, snap, the kid's being targeted, the kid's being bullied. The victim apparently was a contributing member of this, and she was leading the charge. And the things that she would say and the viciousness of how they were treating this boy, I'm not going to say what he did was justified. Spoiler alert for those who didn't watch the show. If you didn't, it's your fault by now.
Yeah, exactly.
But the callous response that the woman investigator had when he tried to bring it to her attention, like, I think there's more that's going on with this case. And she said, I just want the attention to be on the victim, on the girl. And what I would suggest is there were two victims. It's just that one died.
Right.
One lost their life and one lost their freedom potentially for the rest of their lives. And what happens is that small little snippet is an example of the larger pool of what's going on. Yes, he did something wrong. Yes, he's the murderer. Yes, he needs to be incarcerated. I agree with all of that, obviously. But the environment that created someone like that, we're so oblivious to the realities and perspectives of what young boys and men are going through. You don't get it that for many men, they don't see feminism. It doesn't matter if they don't have the great working definition of it. Their experience of all these people who claim that identity, you don't actually care about equality. That's a woman advocacy movement, or at least was up until recent debates about who can or can't be a woman. But prior to this debate, it's always been, for many people, and particularly many men, it's more so a women advocacy program, which is totally fine. But you cannot say that you care about men and that you're advocating for equality. And I'm going to list these things off, and I wrote them down to make sure I don't forget it. You don't care about mandatory paternity tests. You don't care about paternity fraud. You don't care about male suicide rates. You don't care about equalizing hard, laborious jobs outside. You don't want to equalize that. You don't care about what happens to people that are falsely accused, which is almost always exclusively men. You don't actually care about the declining school performance, the rise in ADHD diagnosis, and the psychiatric medication that comes from it. You don't care about the lack of homeless shelters for men. You don't care about the weaponization of the family court, the equal custodial rights, reproductive say for men, reduction in child support and alimony, pathologizing of just men and masculinity in general, negative attitudes towards even men that want a nuclear family. You don't think or care about any of these things. And I'm not even saying it's just the feminists that don't care about it.
Nobody
I'm
does.
saying most people who don't do what I do don't care about this at all. And you're creating, and we talked about this 80-20 rule. What's happening to the 80%? You don't care.
Not good.
And the beauty is if I just get the man I want, if I just get the partner I want, if I just I don't care about what's happening with men. Let's bring attention back to women. That's what the detective did in that show.
Right.
And that is what society and Western cultures is unfortunately like. Most people only care about males or boys or men if they are their brother, their son, or their father, or their uncle, or their close friend.
I would say not even their uncle. Listen, y'all hit the like button. We're at 20, between 25 and 30 people watching. Hit the like button. Only had 13 likes last time I checked. Listen, this is a problem. And you know what, he's right. What happens to the 80%? But here's where you know they have medicated men through opioids, through weed, legalization of marijuana, adult movies, OnlyFans, alcohol. This is what's keeping the men sedated. I did a video about that. They are in a sedated position. They're in a sedated position. Otherwise, they would have turned the society over right now. We don't have any jobs. You know, the cost of living has gone up. I can't afford to live. I can't afford to move out my mama's basement. I can't afford to live on my own without having roommates. They would have overturned the society. And you're raising taxes. It's crazy. I got a lot more to say about that. As I mentioned, I'm going over some Second Amendment stuff. I was reading some stuff today, you know, about the quote unquote founding fathers. I'm going to address that then, but it's a problem. It's a problem what's going on with the 80% of men.
this society, in the quest to be fair to women, to improve their rights, allowed the worst representatives to take it to its furthest extreme.
Right.
When we talk so much about misogyny,
Mhm.
most women can't tell you what the term is for a strong distaste and hatred for men.
Mhm.
What's the term? What's
Misandry.
the misandry?
Mm.
Being a misandrist.
Mm.
Most men's experiences that we keep labeling as incels, we keep labeling as misogynists. Their experiences in coworker situations, in the schools, dating, on dating apps, is that a lot of women are either misandrous or they're so reductionistic of men that if you don't have the money, you have no say and you need to shut up. And even if you do have the money, it's happy wife, happy life once I'm in your life.
Yeah.
I done told my wife, we joke around about it all the time. When we're amongst other couples and friends, she sarcastically say all the time, the one thing I appreciate about Jeff more than anything is he's the same exact person in home as he is in public. He
Right.
doesn't change.
Mhm.
So if I'm going to say no, I'm going to say no. If I'm going to disagree, I'm going to disagree. And men not going through the natural maturation process as teenagers, as early adults, because they literally don't have the opportunity to with women. We can't be shocked anymore that there's an environment that's festering of boys and young men who unfortunately have a strong distaste. And I would argue, not even for women in general, women in the Western cultures and countries.
Yeah.
This is why they're running to the other countries and cultures where men are at least still seen as valuable, relevant, important.
No, I
So,
think yeah,
yeah,
they're all very
yeah,
good
yeah.
points.
Yeah.
I think that like anything in the West, to redress any imbalance in anything, we've had to
Mhm.
go to some crazy level to the other side and
Yeah.
come to a middle thing. And why are we so surprised? Why do we have to have shows like Adolescence that, quite frankly, are pretty late in the game in
Mhm.
terms of culture? We're very
Mhm.
late in the game. And like you said, I talk to quite a lot of my friends, who are all parents. And they had no idea I knew about it because I'm doing this podcast and I see these comments all the time and I was very aware of it. I've read a lot about it. They had no idea about it. And I'm like, you have teenage children and young adult children. How do you not know? How
Mhm.
are you that ill-informed? I agree
What?
with you. To
You
me,
know
it's
what's
very,
crazy?
yeah.
I'm sorry.
Let me. I'm gonna come back to this, but I want to show this idea that we're talking about, the difference, because how it shows. I want to show a video. I do another Instagram video show about the difference between how men and women are socialized and why this is important. And we don't even recognize that it's going on here. So I don't think I played this video before. I'll play it right now though. Move that. Share screen, Instagram. Yeah. All right. Oh. All right, that didn't work. Anyway, it was a video that I was going to try to show. Unfortunately, the resolution is too low. It was a video I was going to try to show, and it's these two little toddlers, maybe they're 4 or 5, something like that, maybe 4 years old. They're having an argument, and the boy and the girl starts pushing the boy, touching him with her finger. I can't play it right now. Starts touching with her fingers. Obviously, somebody's videotaping this and never ever corrects the little girl. Don't touch the boy. Never corrects them. And the boy's just backing up. He's taking it, just kind of backing up, and he never ever he can't defend himself. Again, somebody's looking at this, recording it, but this is the socialization that a lot of times that ladies are under, is that it's okay to touch a boy, it's okay to put your hands on him. We're not going to do anything, and that instills in her, as a young girl, I can do this. There's no boundaries, there's no limitations, particularly when I'm dealing with a young man later on in life. And and then he's going to get a complex and saying, I can't hit this woman back, I can't hit her back, I can't defend myself. It's really unfair. It's really unfair. So I wanted to try to show that, but I couldn't. All right, we'll get back to the main video here. Share screen.
Sorry to cut you off, but you want to know what's crazy? When you're in a market and environment where both parents got to work long hours,
Mhm.
and both parents are out of the home for extended periods of time, and both parents have to figure out so much, and you don't even have one parent that's like really super involved,
Mhm.
versus they both are kind of got 40-hour work schedules, and one may have to do additional overtime, and the cost of living is exploding. It's harder than ever before.
Oh, yeah.
for parents, men and women, fathers and mothers. It's a lot harder now. We are living in an area in New Jersey where our property taxes per month is the cost of most people rent across the world.
Yeah, of course.
Where our daycare is more than the cost for daycare for 1 to 2 kids is the equivalent of what 50 to 60% of people in the world make.
Mhm. Yeah, of course.
So it's kind of difficult to be super duper involved and actually know what's going. You know what she saw? My son's home. He turns the light off when I tell him to turn the light off, and he doesn't get in trouble. He goes to school every day. He gets good grades. Parents are just surviving. Mothers, fathers, people are just trying to figure this. You know what I'm saying? Like this is. I'm not saying it's a complete. Like there's no. They get no fault. They get no blame. I'm just saying that the context for what we're in is what's also creating this type of dynamic and environment. So it's. And then lastly, I meant to say the dynamic. Why is this exploding? And why is this so big in the UK? And why are these government officials getting all involved in this? I'm gonna tell you this right now. If you are a young woman or woman, period, and you're thinking about, well, oh my gosh, this incel thing, and all these men want to harm me and hurt me and do this or do that. A huge percentage of the boys and men that feel that way, there's a reason why they're leading the statistics of being 4 times more likely to take their own life.
Right.
They're actually far more of a danger to themselves.
Than to anybody else.
Even in a relationship.
Mm.
You take a woman who's in a relationship with a man and a relationship with a woman, her domestic violence rates are significantly higher with another woman than with a man.
Really?
DV rates are up. Divorce rates are up when same-sex relationships between 2 women than her with a man.
I know. It's the highest
Yes.
divorce rate is lesbian couples.
Yeah, and so is the DV rate.
What's the deep?
They should be having the most orgasms.
Yeah,
That's
domestic-
unbelievable.
Domestic violence.
Yeah,
DV rate.
right.
Yeah. So again, the show is so popular, it's so big, probably 250,000 plus people are probably going to watch it. And now they're again adding to this narrative that the most unsafe you can be is dealing with and doing life with men or males.
Mm.
And what I'm arguing is a huge percentage of them end up taking their own life. A small percentage of them, if they get successful enough and finding a suitable partner,
Mm.
or they're going abroad to find a woman who can meet their needs. So it's not to say that there's violence between men and women that doesn't exist. Of course, it's a thing. All I'm suggesting is that the show, there may be ulterior motives for why any not a normal person jumps on it, always be what's thing that they're pushing and what's the plan.
Sure.
Is going to be a monitoring thing where people have to register their social ID numbers or something in order for them to even have access to a website or have access to the internet. I'm going to argue this. So something like this in a political environment when Gen Z and some millennials between men and women who are looking for explanations to justify why all these men are splintering off and voting differently than us, thinking differently than us, going their own way, not wanting to marry women. There's got to be some explanation for it. And it can't possibly be because of our decision making, our hierarchy of what we're attracted to or not attracted to. It can't be us. It's got to be because they're all incels.
Right.
All right, let me see if I can play this video on another browser here. I think I pulled it up here. Let me stop this. Stop screen. All right, so I got to go to another browser here. Put this up. Add screen, share screen, window. To share audio, share a tab or screen instead, or screen. I don't know if you'll be able to hear it. Sometimes when I play another window, it doesn't work, but we'll try it. But you'll be able to see them, the little boy and little girl, barely out of diapers, having an argument, and nobody is stepping in to stop it. And you see her touching them. So I just want to show that to see that the I don't know if it's the playback speed, but anyway, I was able to show. I don't know if you guys could hear it, but that's that. And you could hear somebody in the background giggling. So this is what goes on, and then you wonder why. You wonder why guys are kind of checking out. This is the way that unfortunately many girls are being socialized, that it's okay to put your hands on and touch them. They were discussing adolescence. Why does this gentleman speak so rapidly? I got it up a speed. I mean, I don't think he's speaking fast, is he? Otherwise we'll be here all night. I got a 1.25 speed. No. Yeah, playback speed. Let's not forget people's willingness to go viral at the expense of their children. Yeah, well, you're right about that. Hit the like button, y'all. We'll get back to the main event here. Anything for clicks and likes, right? Oh, let's hold on here. Yeah, let's do that. All right, we'll get back to the main event.
It's got to be because they just outright hate women. It can't possibly be because there's been an environment that's been telling them that we hate you. Can't possibly be that. It can't be society or culture or the colleges or liberal. It can't be any of those factors, or even how we treat the men who we think don't check off all about. It can't be none of that. It's got to be because of this Netflix series, and now we need policy to deal with that.
Yeah.
That's the level of thinking that I want all of us to start to get better at when we watch anything on social media, anything on streaming services, because I would argue much of the things that's impacting us and influencing the quote unquote gender war is not even coming from in here. It's coming from what we're seeing on screens and on these computers. When I walk around in everyday life, men and women still open the door for each other. A woman's in trouble, men are still going to rush to help her. A black man, a white man is hurt in some way. Whoever the race of the person is, they're still going to try to intervene and help them. I'm trying to lift a heavy box. My white neighbor going to come and lift it up. Somebody who's gay or trans, if they need help or support, it's still happening. Hate exists, I know that, but I'm telling you, the social media, the trends, what's going viral isn't actually 100% a reflection of what's actually happening in most of our lives. You're actually not walking around and most men are spitting at you, calling you names, attacking. That's not happening in modernity, not in mass. The majority.
I went to a comedy show last night, and a fight broke out. And everybody was trying to get in there and break it up. So people are still interacting. So he's right about that. Get outside, see the world. It was unfortunate a fight broke out, and it wasn't us either. It was crazy. It wasn't us. Well, one of the parties was us, but the other guy started it, and so he ended up getting arrested. They checked the video and all that kind of stuff. But people stepped in to break it up. So everybody didn't pull out phones and all that kind of stuff. So yeah.
Already a huge percentage of the men that's a threat, they're arrested. They got records.
No, absolutely. Like, I think obviously social media makes it look like
Magnifies.
everyone is out to get you, and that's why we're having so many problems.
Look, now Adolescence, as true as it is about exposing something that a lot of people didn't know, what's the takeaway?
That this is happening everywhere.
This is happening everywhere. It's crazy. It's so much going. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you. The U.S. and our thing of violence, we have the monopoly, it seems like, on school violence. It's insane. We're not using knives. We're using guns.
Yeah.
And much of it is in response to being bullied.
The first time I heard about these gender war situations was on YouTube. There's only a few of those situations I've ever seen in real life. There's a lot of truth to that. I experienced the vast majority of mine when I was on dating apps. And then I have experienced ladies telling me they don't need me to hold the door open. I've experienced that. One time I went to I was in another city. I'd gone to get something to eat. I went to a bar, get something to eat. I was going to get it to go. And there was this bartender. She was us. It was us. She treated everybody else nice. And then when she came turn my turn, she just came up and just looked at me. I said, hello. She said, hi. I said, okay, can I order now? So she had a bit of it too. And she was nice to everybody else. I noticed it. I noticed she was nice to everybody else. So it was an older crowd. Yes, it was an older crowd. Yeah. So yeah.
Or being radicalized with some particular political or religious ideology. That's usually what it is. It doesn't make it.
Yoli, I think that the gender war thing is a first world situation kind of thing. No, I don't mean to say it like that, but it's a Western, maybe Western idea. Although I have covered where it's going on in China now. So whatever's going on with feminism, it's creating this madness. Let me just say it like that. It's creating this madness. China, the U.S., UK, Australia. Yeah.
Being radicalized with some particular political or religious ideology. That's usually what it is. It doesn't make it any better, but it's really not heavily connected. No, there is no significant data that shows that this is happening in mass. I'm telling you, if you went to the data and looked at UK stats of who's the primary groups doing the stabbings and the knifings, it's not who you saw on the show.
Right.
It's not who you saw. We don't have to go political or go into who is and who isn't doing. It's not who they showed on the show. You have a market of white males who feel so angry and disenfranchised and feeling like they're being blamed for everything, and they're not allowed to hold an opinion, not allowed to hold a view. And now you're shocked with the reactions and responses of what's coming. And it's not even all violent. There's just a noticeable shift. And in the end game, everybody say, well, we're all going to lose in the end. The mountaintop is undefeated. Father time.
Rhonda's asking, what was her issue? The bartender that she had it too. I think I was a black man, in all honesty. I mean, because it was a bar that was fairly mixed. And there was white couples. There was a white guy with an Asian woman. Again, a couple of other white couples. These are all people in front of me. It was me by myself. I was in town. Just happened. I wanted to grab a quick sandwich and get back on the road and go home. I'm just assuming, but it could be the priming that I'm watching. I mean, I don't know what it was. Maybe her father had a beard like me and just didn't like that. I don't know, but I didn't say anything. I had never seen her before. I don't know. I don't know. It's a good question. I don't know. I didn't ask her, but she literally didn't say. I wish I would have videotaped it. I mean, just went up to the bar and just looked at me. Not hello, can I take your order? Sorry to keep you waiting. None of that. Crazy. Dinosaur. Dr. L, do you think it was because you were black or a man? I think it was because I think it was because I was a black man. That's what I think. It was a black female bartender. And she was cordial to everyone else. What else can I assume that it was? Dr. L, she smelled your police background. Yeah, she might have. She might have. It's the whole package. It's the whole package. Yeah, she might have. She smelled the bacon, right?
Is undefeated. Mother Nature's undefeated. The men post 30 who can figure out how to get what they need in order, physically, emotionally, financially, they have the leverage. The most leverage a woman's going to have is when she's her fittest, youngest, most fertile self.
Of course.
I'm just saying, I say this all the time. Because I hear so often, oh, women are the gatekeepers of sex. And you're like, they are when they're young. When they're young, but you start to, I think women sort of 30, 35, you start to sort of, it's not that you're not attractive, but you're not attractive to the same age as men, whereas men can look up or down all along. Whereas
So Evan White is asking why after 30 for men, because that's when they start to come in their prime. You've been in your job for a while, you've established yourself, probably slowed down a little bit, decided now that it's time to really work on my career, taking some tests, advance, got your CDL, open up a business, you really start establishing yourself. And men, for whatever the statistics are, really start to hit their stride at 35. At 30, between 35 and 55 are the prime years for men to make them their most amount of money. That's when you get your skills up and all this. Coincidentally, it's the same. It really is the same for women too, as far as making money. But again, that's not what attracts men. So a woman who never leaves the workforce, never gets married, doesn't have children, and continues on the same trajectory will make just as much money as a man, sometimes even more. But what slows them down a lot of times is having children, being out the workforce, etc. So, but yeah, that's when men start to make it. That's when, well, I guess the answer is that's when people start to make it. But women select because they want a man who's in his financial prime. That's when they're selecting for that. Men don't select women for the same thing. They want young, fertile, fit, feminine, friendly, and fertile. That's what they're looking for. It's just a different mating strategy. Those were bacon strips. Yeah, I knew that, Doctor. I knew that, October. I realized that bacon strips. Yeah. When they say gatekeepers, do they mean selection? Yes, that's what they mean. They're saying that you have the selection to have relations with whoever you want. Everybody's hitting on you left and right, left and right. But you can say you, or you. You have that ability. Men don't have that ability. They just got to take what they can get, unless, of course, they're going to do some criminal activity, which we all say is wrong. Yeah, 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 yep, yep.
Women, the older we get, we can only look up in age or down in age.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, I always say to my husband, if I, you know, God forbid we wouldn't get divorced, or if we got divorced, he could find anybody of any age, and it would
Mhm.
be a younger woman, absolutely be a younger woman.
He said,
I'm going to tell you right now. Listen, I don't think I'm a bad looking guy. I'm going to tell you that used to be true, and that's what I thought too. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm in fairly decent shape here, good job, own house, got a car, transportation. Unless I'm just a monster, it's just not that case. And I've run into other guys who are saying that too. That's why I kind of like what's going on here. I can't, you can't find anybody worthy of quality. I found a few. I did find a few, but it's hard. It's hard.
he's a lawyer, right?
Yes, he's a lawyer. He can marry who he wants.
What we talking about here?
Exactly. No, it's
Oh, as a lawyer, he might be able to. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I got too much bacon in my back pocket. They don't want that. I don't know.
Be a lot.
Exactly.
There's be a lot. It don't matter how he look. It don't
Exactly.
matter how he dress. When they hear lawyer and they hear widow, oh, he need food. He need.
Exactly. I know it's both true.
I'm going to tell you that's not true. I'm going to tell you that's not true. It's not. It's that used to be the case with exactly what they said. You're a widow, freshly divorced. I've had some attention. I'm not going to say I don't get any, but nowhere to where I thought it was going to be. October says the men in NYC whore around and make baby mamas during their 20s and 30s, and then come sniffing around me. Yeah, those are guys who are not working on their skills, their craft, and becoming a mess. And then yeah, you're right. They want to come lay up with you because they messed up. But a guy who's really on his game, doing what he's doing, like my son is 28 right now. He's getting his licenses. He's looking to do some things, trying to save his money, wants to start investing in houses and stuff. By the time he has that collateral or capital, I should say, by the time he has that, he'll be 35. Have a couple of houses, flipping houses, got a good job right now, doing his thing, got all these licenses and all this stuff that he's working on. He's improving himself. He's working his way up. And by the time he's 35, 36, 37, he'll be in a good financial position and be able to have this pick up of the litter. That's the way it goes. Dr. L, do you mean older or younger women? I don't know. I missed that. I don't know. Do I? I don't know what you mean by that. Do I mean what I'm? What did you mean by that, Chocolate?
Whereas I'd have to marry an 8-year-old
For sure.
and
It don't matter how he dress. When they hear lawyer and they hear widow, oh, he need food. He need.
Exactly. I know it's both true. Whereas I'd have to marry an 8-year-old
For sure.
and
Women today, a lot of ladies today can't cook, and I've run into that. Ladies can't cook. That was a big problem. They can't cook. Crazy. Bring me a plate of food that you got from Piggly Wiggly's. It was both. By older, I mean, I got hit on a lot by 60-year-olds. A lot. 30, 35, 40s. I don't go for 20-year-olds. I wouldn't notice them. There was one 20-year-old who was bad. She was like 25, 26. But that's my daughter's age. I couldn't do that. We cook down here every day. Okay. Yeah, I mean, Piggly Wiggly, plate of food from Piggly Wiggly. Yeah, they're going to, they're buying food, DoorDash and stuff and think that counts. It don't count.
Would be like,
I'm also marrying an 80-year-old, by the way.
I'm not
That's my
saying there's
plan.
anything wrong with that, but
Here she go.
but it changes. I mean, we could obviously go on forever talking to you. There's so much.
And you should have standards in New York. Excuse me, October. You should have have standards. And they have the nerve to be offended when I decline because I'm childless and have standards. Listen, if you're, I said this about men all the time because obviously I try to focus on men. But if you're a woman and you don't have any kids, why would you deal with a dude, especially a bum, right? Maybe if he's got a bunch of baby mamas, especially two, right? If you met a guy, if you're a single woman, maybe you did the right thing, you're 30, and you meet a 35-year-old guy who's got one kid, okay, maybe. But he's got a bunch of kids by different mamas. No, I wouldn't advise that at all. My daughter says all the time, I don't want no man with no kids. You don't, just like I said about men, you don't need that drama in your, you don't need, you're a woman, you don't need that drama in your life. Some other baby mama, you don't need it. You don't need that. You don't need that. You're eating, aren't you? Does that, it matters as far as the nurturing aspect. I actually look for that nurturing. I think I said this in another video. If she got everything else I want and she can't cook, don't do whatever, then that wouldn't be a deal breaker for me. But if the first couple of conversations is, listen, I don't cook and I don't know how to cook, and I go to my mother's house, that turns me off. I mean, but we didn't get to that point yet. She might have been a great woman, but I just didn't find out because that turned me off. Like it's like, to me, it's like saying I'm a guy and I don't have a job. I mean, it's really the same type of thing. I mean, wouldn't that turn you off? I mean, he might have great communication and everything else, but if the guy says you don't have a job, I mean, you're gonna give him, how much time a day you're gonna give him? That's the way I kind of look at it. Now, if we really got to know each other and we settled down and talked and went on a couple dates, and then it came up, listen, I don't know how to cook. And then what she also said, what bothered me was she wasn't willing to learn. Come on now. You and I are going to get together and we got to go to your mother's house to eat? Come on, that's crazy. Or I got to cook all the time? I had a guy approach me who told me he had 8 kids. Yeah, that's wild. That's wild. And then just like, we talk about guys, I mean, sometimes the ladies trying to circle back. Sometimes the guys try to circle back too. Okay, I want a good church woman now. Well, you got 8 kids in tow, baby mama drama all over the place. You don't have any money because you're paying child support, and now you're gonna bring this garbage to some woman? That's crazy to me. And shame. I know you guys are all smarter than that, but shame on the women who accept that from these guys. shame on the women who accept that, and they only accept that because maybe because they're lonely or whatever. Same thing we talk about the guy who is accepting the fluffy woman, 600-pound woman. Stop accepting that kind of foolishness. You're definitely worth more than that, especially if you don't have any kids. Come on now.
I should talk about.
I know.
So
I
much
wanted to go back for 1 second.
Yeah.
Did you finish all of your thoughts on the cheating? Because we may have skipped a
So
bit.
I definitely prepped for this part because I figured this question.
Let's go. It'll be our last little segment of the show because we've already gone over an hour, which I love. But I'd love to hear your thoughts. Is that any? Can we stop it? I would say no.
Yeah.
Oh, I rewind. What did I do here? We have the leverage, lawyer, widow, naturalist fallacy. I think that's where I'm at. High Vibe says I had a guy approach me and had 2 infants by 2 different women. I laughed in his face as he was trying to buy me a drink. This was years ago. I don't blame you. You should laugh in his face. Make him feel bad. Right? I mean, make those kind of guys feel bad. I mean, what the heck, man? Shouldn't you be buying your baby's formula? It's crazy.
All right. So the main thing I'm going to say is I'm careful to avoid what's called a naturalist fallacy. And this is the false belief that because something is natural, it must be moral or good. So I just kind of put that out there as a qualifier with what I'm about to say. There's something called like a blank slate theory or socialization theory. And it's very basically, it's the debate about nature versus nurture.
Mhm.
Most people who consider themselves feminists, they have a working presupposition or theory about human beings, men and women, and human sexuality. And the belief system is rooted in this. When you lean much more into nurture versus nature, anytime you see distinctions, differences, sociological reactions or responses for whatever reason between men and women, you're going to believe that you can socialize it out of them. And that's what it means is if you don't believe that there's biological, evolutionary hardwiring that's built into us to be attracted to desire, to do and behave in certain ways, you're going to believe that the sex that isn't the sex that's not doing what you think they should be doing is because you can socialize them to now act like the other sex.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
All right. The reason why that's important with this topic and all others is because there is a version of femininity that believes any distinction, even when it comes to sex, is something that just has to be completely 100% socialized and changed out of men. And that as long as men start to behave, communicate, think, and act like women, they'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes to sex, they'll insist that there is no innate psychological differences between men and women. They'll functionally believe that because they're psychologically the same, we should have the same expectations. This is the issue. There's physiological differences. And the physiological differences some are very minute, but then some are massive with huge implications. These are some of the differences that I noted. And obviously, naturally, we know that there's differences between men and women, grip strength, speed, upper body strength versus lower body strength. We know this. Like, generally speaking, there's physiological differences. But there's physiological differences when sex occurs and when they have orgasm.
Mhm.
And I'm going to question, I'm going to have a question once I list these off. And the question is this, actually. Do men and women experience sex? And are the consequences they experience from said sex the same or different? These are the things that I noted that were different.
Anita and I are planning to address this Sunday. So again, I haven't watched this, but Anita and I were talking today. We're going to address this on Sunday. It's crazy. It's crazy. And there's a book or there's an article about women. I don't know what he's about to say right here, but let me just say this before he says whatever he's going to say. There's a book or there's an article. I'm going to find it where women are teaching other women how to have sex, but trying to not become emotionally attached. And not looking the guy in the eye, all this other kind of stuff. So it's crazy. It's crazy that this is going on. Anita's gonna really harp in on this aspect of it. But there's chemicals that are released, and that's why I've never understood the hookup culture. I can get a one night stand, maybe you get a little tipsy, and this guy is so hot from a woman's perspective. This guy is just so hot. I just gotta sleep with him. I can probably understand that from some degree, but constantly doing it every weekend, going out sleeping with different dudes. Something like 70% of the time, women don't orgasm from P and V sex. What's the point? I don't know. You tell me. I don't know. We're going to talk about it though.
Men tend to have higher sexual desire and are more accepting of casual, non-commitment based sex. Sex hormone amounts and patterns are different between male and females. The hypothalamus, which is the region of the brain involved in sexual activity, is both larger and more sensitive to testosterone.
Mhm.
Men tend to experience quicker and more intense sexual arousal and orgasms compared to women. Research shows that women's sexual desire has more variables and is influenced by factors like self-esteem, relationships, emotions, and how they feel about their bodies, the relationship, and overall emotional state. Social consequences of clear communication of their desires in the domains of sex, especially sexual. So think of it this way, because that one could be a little bit confusing. If men were bluntly or straightforwardly honest about how often they think about sex, about the different ways that they think about sex, about the different types of women that they want to experience in terms of thinking about sex, if they were honest about how they felt sexually, are they rewarded for their honesty?
No.
And then last,
No, no, they're not. October says, I work at a Fortune 500 telecommunications company and work around all kinds of six-figure engineers and technicians, and these men are notorious, in caps, for being married and sleeping with and on occasion impregnating. Listen, it happens in every arena. What arena does it not happen in? And I could tell you stories about police departments. The one I worked at, every other police department, anybody who works in corrections, the military. It happens everywhere. Right? It happens everywhere, 34 watching, 23 likes. Hit those thumbs up. Impregnating women in the building, it's disgusting. Excellent point. I think the experience is absolutely different. Yeah, it's absolutely different. Absolutely different. Hit the like button.
Sleep,
That was quick.
reproduction, evolutionary drives for men or women. They're typically, you are the product of thousands, if not tens of thousands of years of one side of a person or one set group trying to survive and procreate and mate select in a certain way. And the other group, you're the product of a person people who kept sowing their seed.
Mhm.
And the question is going to be like, well, wait a minute. If there's all of these evolutionary, biological, physiological differences, and men and women clearly don't even experience sex, let alone orgasms in the same way.
Miss Independent says once you say no, you aren't for it, those people move on. Sometimes people are persistent. I've seen that a lot. And that's where sexual harassment comes in. I mean, if you're on a job, I tell you no once or maybe 2 times, but you keep coming after me, saying little stuff. Come on now. And then listen, my wife was in that situation. She told me about this, that, and the other, and she told me, I would say, okay, tell the guy no, you're not interested, whatever. He says it again, okay. Tell him I said to knock it off. And next time we go into HR, and then next time I'm coming down there. So handle this before I do. Dr. L, sometimes women who are angry with men and have been repeatedly disappointed by men will develop persona where they can have sex with men totally apathetic. I guess I got to believe you on that. I guess I got to believe you on that. I haven't read that, but I will accept that. I'm not saying that women can't turn it off or that it's they can't harden their hearts, quote unquote. I can see that. But just in general, if you're not a broken or dealing with trauma and that's the way that you're acting all the time, like these girls are 18, 19, 20, 25. They probably haven't dealt with all that to that level. I could see maybe a 40-year-old who's got divorced and she's just like, listen, I just want to bang whoever I can, until I find somebody else. I can understand that to a certain degree, but these girls are engaging in hookup culture where they're going to frat parties, and they're going to, sex parties, and they're going to, just house parties, or just doing stuff on the apps just to be doing it, just because men are doing it. And we're all the same, aren't we? This is what he's talking about. This is exactly what he's talking about. This blank slate theory. Anybody who studies psychology would know that the blank slate theory. You think you can be socialized and act a certain way at certain times. And that's just not the case. And so many women are coming now, waking up at 35, 40 years old after having done that and having a lot of regret. Again, Anita and I are going to cover this on Sunday, so tune in for that show. But it's crazy. That's not empowering at all. I think contraceptions and dating apps being invented within 100 years is absolutely, Evan. That's the number one thing. Dating apps, contraception, baby deletions, all of that. It just tore down all the walls for a lot of ladies, and it kind of went buck wild, right? It's like being with a new toy, just play with it all the time. And then wake up and recognize one day that your evolutionary programming has not designed you in order to be able to be that way consistently. And while a lot of times these ladies are feeling bad, feeling shame, feeling used, wanting to now have a connection with people, the guys don't want that. Guys are just programmed differently. It's not good or bad. It's just different. Let's see. You're right, Dr. L. Trauma would definitely be a contributing factor. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Okay, here we go.
I don't know. Actually, I do know, but I'm just saying it facetiously. I don't know that in a quest to be like men, that's actually been a net benefit to most women, especially after 40, 50 years of this experiment. That doesn't mean that men are justified. to cheat. It seems to suggest that at least their biological hardwiring has designed them to better be able to be okay with doing it.
Right. I mean, I totally agree with that. Like, men are built to sex. And women
So
are
we're both built to have sex, but men are better built to do meaningless sex.
right.
Right.
So what came with the sexual revolution and liberation, we have to acknowledge, was the opening the door for loveless sex.
Here's my particular theory about that. And I did read a little bit into this. So I think that men, because we were so disposable, as we, there's a whole theory body of literature about all males being expendable, right? You have a couple of chicks that are born to a chicken. You keep the females because they can give you more eggs, and you turn the roosters, or whatever baby male chicks are called. You turn them into mush, right? You don't need them. You don't need one or two of them. You have one bull on a farm who impregnates all the cows. You need one, right? So men have always been expendable. So because men or males have always been expendable, it's just evolutionarily that you're just not going to be this type of way. You're going to move on faster. You're going to not become. You're so looking for it. Men have become so accustomed to looking for it, trying to get it, that they don't think that they need to have this emotional investment. Some guys do, obviously, and so I don't think there's anything wrong with being emotionally invested. But you remember they would ship guys off to wars for 3 and 4 or 5 years, right? Remember the Crusades were 7 years long, right? So, or however long they were. I don't remember. I think it's like one of them was like 7 years long, right? You can't go home for 7 years, right? So you're out in the field. And then if you're out in the field, a lot of times, they don't talk about this a lot in their history books. A lot of times the prostitutes would follow these guys on wars and stuff just to help them, not to help them, but get paid. So guys are just socialized differently, and that becomes an evolutionary feature. And if you're in the battlefield, or if you're out on the farm, or you're out for a fishing trip for days at a time, or at war or whatever, for days at a time, you can't be emotionally attached and thinking about your woman at home, or thinking about your kids at home. Not that that's a good thing, right? We want to be caring and loving, and that's something a lot of guys have to work on, is developing the caring and nurturing side of us, because some of us can suppress it for far too much. But that's just my theory as to why we kind of operate this way, So,
Well, men are built to populate the earth.
For commitment-less sex.
Mhm.
And men are biologically hardwired to be better built with doing that on a regular basis. And nothing feels like wrong for him to do it. He doesn't have to know your name.
Mhm.
He doesn't have to know anything about you. He just has to find you attractive. There's so many more social cues. There's so many more cues that a woman, is it safe? Is if something happens, is
is it safe? Is it the lights turned up too high? Lights turned down too low? The music's too loud, right? Right. You got to get the woman in the mood. You got to start texting her on Tuesday if you want to have sex on Thursday, right? There's all this stuff, and it's not bad, but you want to know that it's from an evolutionary perspective. The woman wants to know that this man that I'm about to sleep with, because of the potential risks that could come to me if I get pregnant. This is all evolutionary, right? Thousands of years ago. If I get pregnant by this guy, is he the best guy that I can get? If I have a baby, I could possibly die in childbirth. You want to make it worth your while. But now, again, as we said, the dating apps, contraception, and baby deletions, that's not a problem anymore. Even if you do carry the baby to full term, your chances of dying in labor are drastically reduced. It's still way too high, particularly for Black women, but it's still way too high, for the modern medicine that we have. But this is why ladies were always more selective, and we get that. So the best thing the guy can do is improve. Thank you for that. 24 likes, 39 watching. Let's get up to 30 likes. Come on now. I see 40. Let's get up to at least 30 likes. Come on now. At least, and we'll push for 40. It really should match. 40 people watching, 40 likes. That's what we should have. He doesn't have to know her name. Well, he doesn't have to. It's nice too.
is he going to harm me in some way? There's so many other things that's innate in there. No one had to tell her these things. And so for me, it's less about whether it's right or wrong, and it's more about in the quest to be progressive and modern and this and that, are we ignoring biological reality at the potential risk and demise of women? I would argue that the greatest victims of this experiment that we've been doing, loveless, commitmentless sex, recreationally. Number 3 on the list is the men who can't get access to it. Number 2 on the list are women who are single and can't find a suitable partner, who are looking for long-term commitment and monogamy in a market where the men who get the options don't have to give that. Number 1 on the list is children. You don't even have to be a celebrity. You have guys that look like me whose experience.
The guys who are getting all the top swipes on dating apps, the top 10% of guys, they don't have to get married. They just move on to somebody else because the ladies are engaging in meaningless sex. Why is he going to get married for? What do they got to settle down for? You don't want to give it to me. I just take it for someone. I'll just get it from somebody else. And then you sleep with the guy. You feel used, abused. Why did you do this? He's not calling you back. You haven't seen him in 3 weeks. Then he's calling you again for another BC, booty call. It's really sad. It's really sad.
This is with women will rival kings and monarchs from previous times before they turn 30 or 35. That's the reality. You're in a market where things are not equal. They're never going to be equal. Our equality starts and stops with our value as human beings. I'm not equal to another man. So what made you think like there's men who do way better than me, make way more money than me, way more respected, and men that don't? We're not equal. We only are equal as human beings. Nothing else about what we got going on makes us equal.
I hope so. I mean, I reached out to him I invited him. He came in the chat. I invited him. And then I was on his DMs and on Instagram and I invited him. So the invite is there. So I'd love to have him.
So when you try to be equal to a man and you try to dictate what's going to happen in this market, I'm going to be honest with you. You got 2 choices. Part of the other reason for why some men will cheat is because they don't have the option to do so. What's the reward for the guy that no woman is checking for? You don't have the option. You don't even have the option to cheat. No woman checking for you. You're not that attractive. You got lucky with getting with some woman who wanted to settle down or settled for you. And part of the reason why you're so faithful is because it's fairly easy when you don't have women that's constantly trying to poach you and steal you from your wife or girlfriend.
Sure. What about the men who are like,
That's definitely true. Sometimes what's the saying that men are only as faithful as their options. I think that's a thing. That's a saying. Cool. Do that. Please do. Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you. Often it's pay to play with these podcast guests. Oh, just say that. I mean, I paid a guy before. I mean, I mean, as long as it's reasonable. So, and listen, he's blowing up. So I don't blame him if he does say, listen, support my time or whatever. So, speaking of supporting people's time, buy me some lunch here. Because I might have to pay him. So, if y'all want to see him, let's see. Them be the ones that cheat too. Again, I think that a lot of times men are just as faithful as their options. That's just the bottom line. Is it 100%? No, but I guarantee you it's like 90, 95. I know some brothers who don't cheat. Very, very happy. They don't want to mess things up with their woman. They don't want to get caught. I know a few brothers like that. Those are the men that are very immature, short-sighted, and lack appreciation for community and family. There are high-quality men that are highly attractive in all races, and they get themselves a wife. Yeah. Well, that's true. The Maury Show let me know that any man can cheat. Those dirty, disheveled men are lucky to get one woman, let alone 2 and 3. Listen, you talking about paying people. I always wonder, is that stuff? It can't. These dudes that are up here can't be. It can't be real. It can't be. It can't be.
like actively, even if they aren't like, let's say, like not bad. What about those men who are actively looking to cheat? And like cheating is hard nowadays because people consider cheating as porn. People consider cheating as talking to someone else on social media. There's a lot of layers of cheating nowadays.
Yeah. I would say this, and this is going to be funny because my group, we talk about this stuff all the time. As a woman, part of the reason for why it wasn't ultimately just your decision in the past was for this very reason. Because if you had to make it, let's say 100% of men cheated. 100% of men are going to cheat, have the capacity to cheat, 100%. And this question is, are you going to give one man 10 chances? Or are you going to give 10 men one chance? The amount of women who will say that they would I'm done after the first time. Every time I don't tolerate it. I don't this, I don't that. What I'm suggesting is going to sound kind of controversial. You only have 3 options when it comes to mates with men. The man who probably doesn't have the option to cheat, and the man who does, and the man who has the option to cheat. You have to make a decision of whether or not you're going to stay. There's men that probably will never cheat on you. They won't have the opportunity to. Ain't no women going to try. That women go give him the time of day. He stays to he plays video games all day. He don't go nowhere. He don't do nothing. He doesn't check all 8 of the 10 boxes that women are looking for. Chances are, or if he's extremely religious and extremely disciplined, and if you don't want the guy that most other women don't want, or if you don't want the guy that's ultra conservative or ultra religious, you got to deal with the men that potentially have the option to cheat. And then you have to decide between that group, is this the type of man that I'm willing to give my name to, give children to, marry, and stay with, even if something like this happens?
I think a lot of times the ladies are looking for that type of man. They just, unfortunately, become delusional and think that this guy's going to stay with them, because there's this pre-mate selection that women do. They want a man that every other woman wants. You know, they want the socially upwardly mobile man that everyone else wants. That man has options. So you want a man with options, but you don't want to exercise it. Well, to Jeff James' point, either you're going to deal with it or you're not, because you don't want the guy that nobody else wants. Right? Nobody else is checking for this dude. Why nobody wants this dude? Right? Women want to know how many women you got. Women want to know how many women you got. How many bitches you got? I don't like swearing all the time, but how many? You ain't got no bitches? You ain't got no women? This is what women say.
That's the choices.
Mhm.
Let's see here. I used to go to clubs. I knew a guy who would get a hotel room before entering the club, because he knew he was going to score with a stranger, and he would. I don't doubt that at all. So we've come full circle. The grooming of women to be monogamous wives to men that proud to declare they're cheaters has driven the women away from caring as much about virtue. That's an interesting point. Come full circle. The grooming of women to be monogamous wives to men that proud to declare that they're cheaters has driven the women away from caring as much about virtue. It's an interesting concept there. Probably, I don't know if they're proud to declare it. Although, I guess, unfortunately, unfortunately, this is one of the things I didn't like about what Kevin Samuels was saying. This is one of the things I didn't agree with what he was saying, is that, you know, these guys have options and they should be allowed to exercise their options, because I think that did put into guys' minds that it's okay for me to cheat. I didn't appreciate him saying that, or cheat, or step out, or have more than one woman, because if you want fully faithful monogamous wives, they're going to hear this conversation and say to themselves, why should I be faithful? Why should I get one guy? He's going to have more than one woman. I want variety too. So why don't I just do the same thing he's doing? So, yeah. This man's talking about cheating like it's a mandatory fruit snack.
The guy that you're probably 99% confident won't, and the guy that may or may not, and you got to decide if you're going to stay with.
But you got to want the guy. But here's the problem, though. You don't want the guy who doesn't have options. I mean, this is the socialization processes on both sides. If the women wanted the guy who didn't have options, you want the faithful guy, then it wouldn't be a problem. Just, okay, I'm just going to go deal with this guy, you know, who's got 3 toes on 1 foot. So, uh, where did the saying "cheat in peace" come from? Cheaters who expect women to work with them. I never heard that. That's the first I've never heard that. So again, I came from a very religious background, so no, I never heard that. So I do know ladies would say things like any old piece of a man is better than no man at all. I've heard that one. So hit the like button, y'all.
The guy. It's gonna sound horrible, but what's the man that you're willing to saddle and set yourself up with, to where either he doesn't do it, if he does, you'll stay, or he does, but you'll never know or find out about it. Cheating in private.
That's the only option now.
Cheating with play. Cheating with play. Like the whole point I'm making is a stark reality is you're in a modern world where the pool of men that you're even interested and attracted to, you have a global market of competition of women who also think he's attractive.
No, I agree. Like, it is a very weird place that we're in right now because people have so much opportunity to cheat. And in my experience, dealing with a lot of men through all ages, most of them cheat. And so it is very interesting to me when I see a man who doesn't cheat or has no interest in cheating. And that was like my friend who was seriously a very kind man. And he is, if I say so myself, he is one of the top guys. He's good looking,
very
has a
handsome,
great
yeah.
job. He had no interest in cheating. But I
That's
think
because he had it.
well, I know, obviously, but I think he's abnormal. I don't think it had anything to do with me. I think it was his.
It usually doesn't. Because it's still a
And there's the socialization process. There's the socialization process. She thinks there's something wrong with them. It goes both ways. It goes both ways.
the decision at the end of the day if he wants to do it, regardless of what you're going to do or not do. But you got to remember, he's still an ex.
Well,
what I'm saying is that didn't help him.
Right.
In the grand scheme of things,
Right,
that didn't ensure that you would stay.
You're right.
And that's the thing that I don't think. What's the best way to say it?
That's an excellent point. So he was great. He was a great looking guy. He had a good job, and he wasn't a cheater, and you're still not with him. I mean, you can't make this up. He's a great guy, very good looking, great job. Wasn't a cheater, but he's an ex. Make it make sense.
Oh, just say it anyway. We can take it.
We'll see what our audience, but yeah.
So many of the bad boys, so many of the cheaters, so many of the guys who constantly are running through women were at one time the dutiful good boy. A lot of them, you aren't born a bad boy. You see who gets the attention. You see who ignores you. You see what happens when you get a little taller, get a little more bass in your voice, grow a little bit of a beard, and the dynamics change.
Totally.
You see how they change towards you once they suspect or see that another woman is interested. You're seeing this stuff. And if a woman's ex, all her exes cheated on her, do you know the hell I'm going to go through to try to be the guy who does everything right? And the crap I got to go through? And I'm like, well, what is this thing where all the guys who do an X, Y, and Z, they get all the options? There is this thing of, like, even when it comes to attraction traits, you all value experience. We don't. So
Experience in like sexual experience. Yeah.
So when he's a virgin, I don't care how admirable he is. If you found out he was a virgin, had no experience with women whatsoever, he goes down a couple points instantly. If he finds out you only had one or two boyfriends, oh my gosh, I got to get her off the market immediately. You don't want to know, listen, you don't want to know the number, but you're paying attention to certain things and knows, oh, he has a few exes. He has some women that are his girlfriends that he's cool and comfortable with. He's very comfortable around women. He's very charismatic. That only comes with practice.
For sure.
That only comes with experience.
So you're saying, should men cheat because it doesn't matter if they don't?
I'm saying that what you're labeling and calling cheating is labeling an aspect of reality that was a market that was artificially created by the women and their standards. So, for instance, if most modern women in Western countries demand monogamy, and many human cultures throughout civilization actually was okay with polygyny because they factored this part in and you don't, the consequence is going to be is you keep leaving for cheating because he's not allowed to have a second wife or girlfriend.
Mel hates cheating. This is her favorite topic in the world.
Which is fine, but I know that if you were born 500, not even 500, if you were born in another culture, another time, another civilization, you probably wouldn't have the leverage to be able to demand anything about this man is going to be with me and only me for the next 60 years of his life. He gave a dowry. He was a king. He was a monarch. He was very wealthy. He had this or that. And him having 2 concubines or your wife number 2 or 3, that's just what it was. I'm not saying that was good, but that was the part of human nature that people from the past and tradition accepted as a reality.
But the problem with that, though, is that the top guys would have all the women. They would all have 2, 3 wives, and that you would be right back to where we are today with a bunch of guys who don't have anything, and don't have any prospects of ever getting anything, right? Until they become landowners or whatever. And so you want these guys to fight in your wars. You want these guys to go out to the lake or to the sea and get the fish. You want them to go out there and till the ground. Why am I going to do that if at the end of my tilling, at the end of my 3-year war campaign, I come back home and I don't have a woman to snuggle up with and to give me kids? So they had to give, when you went out to war, you got a farm, some land. When you got back, what'd you do with that farm and land? You got a wife. So we're right back to where we were, or where the the top men are sharing the women, whether it's the feudal times that he's talking about or it's modern day times with techno feudalism or whatever's coming up. Everybody's sharing. So, and all this Maury Povich talk we talked about, it's all sharing, and everybody's mad about it. So, baby DNA testing at birth and sharing men and child support court, and I got to getting a guy with 8 kids hitting on you at the bar. You want to share? It's crazy. It's crazy. Hit the like button, y'all. I know people in the South talked about the man who had a wife and family at home and then had his outside woman and kids cross town. That wasn't that long ago. And it going on right now, but I'm sure you're probably talking about the 1920s, 30s or whatever. So, but and a lot of times the ladies are saying we don't want to get married because our grandfathers had all these different wives and people across town, funeral time, it became a mess. But you're sharing still anyway. Okay, now you got your job, your career, and you're still sharing men. I mean, you still want the top guy. It's another universe to me. Men get so turned on by multiple women and can't satisfy one, just hoarding and wasting. Okay. Wasting time. SB has been going on since the 90s.
When you are a blank slatist, your reactions and responses to something that clearly they're more designed to be able to do way more easily than you can is going to trigger you to constantly want to divorce, leave. Now I got to find a new guy to sleep with. Now I got to find the next partner every year. How many men do you want to do this dance with before you make one of the 2 major decisions? I need to get with a guy who's not going to cheat and stay with him, or I need to get with a guy who potentially could cheat, but I'm going to stay with him because he checks off all the other boxes that I'm looking for. The guy who is extremely good looking, extremely tall, makes all this money, and is also going to be faithful to you for the next 50 plus years of his life. So what's the percentage of it?
We don't know that.
0.001.
If 1% men is just based on height, weight, height, and salary, he's 1% of 1%.
No, it's a very
So
interesting case.
listen, that ex, don't let me call him. I fixed it. I say, listen, man, she gonna fix it. Y'all good. She forgave you for whatever. The reality is things change.
I want to know why she not with this dude. He didn't cheat. He had a good job and he was very handsome, according to her. Either he was extremely emotionally unavailable, or maybe he didn't show leadership qualities, whatever, or he was a tic-tac. You got all these qualities. why? And if he wasn't tall enough, right? Again, this is women not settling for the 80% of what you want. 8 out of 10 things. Okay, he's tall, good looking. Excuse me, he's good looking. He's got the job, the career. But there's another guy out there who's going to be 6'10". Yeah, that's what I was thinking there. Yeah. It's got to be, right? Or either extremely emotionally unavailable, maybe had a temper problem, some personality defect. But if he's good looking and all this other stuff and you can't be with him, what the heck?
And that's just to say, and I don't want to say it's justified. It's just I've seen the story, and it's in my community as well, and it's where it's the most highest divorce rate, lowest marital rate, highest rate of single mother households. Everything is skewed and horrible, and all of these women are coming back out there, older, more kids, more jaded, man after man. At some level, you can't listen. You can date women, you could be by yourself, you could date the man that nobody else wants, or you could date the man that everybody else wants, and whether he does tactfully do a little something on the side, you're not leaving. But the
I mean, it's definitely a hard thing because women really don't want to look stupid, right? And so if we are dating a man who is hot and like we're just hoping that you're like crossing our little fingers that like he's just not going to cheat. I think the biggest thing about it is like women really don't want to look like we don't want people to feel bad for us. Like, and so if our community knows that we're with a guy who's really good looking but he's cheating on us, like because now we're able to leave, we're most likely not going to stand for that because we can't take the opinions of other people that are negative.
That's true.
As women.
I'm going to say that
you're going to stick it out and not leave, and now intentionally and knowingly sleep with men who have a different, who are sleeping with other women.
There's pros and cons to caring so much about a bunch of people pay your bills. And guess what?
Yeah, I had a preacher say that one time in a message. He's like, impress you in for what? You don't pay my rent. You don't buy my groceries. Why am I trying to impress you? Last name first says another problem is that most men can't handle any of power. If he has all his teeth, come on, y'all setting the bar so low. If he has all his teeth, makes more than $5, it's taller than a blade of grass. He's literally punch drunk at his own greatness. Oh my God. Talk about the bottom of the barrel there. All his teeth makes $5 a month, a day, a year, an hour.
They got cheated on and now they alone. They getting cheated on.
Being alone is better though.
Yeah, you said what?
Maybe being alone is better though.
Okay, but I'm assuming.
But you're not alone. You're still sleeping with dudes. That's the issue. That's the issue. That's the issue a lot of guys have. That's the issue that a lot of guys have. You'd rather say, I'd rather be alone than get a lower quality guy. That's what a lot of men are complaining about. These so-called incels. So-called. Because that guy who might treat you really, that guy with the pot belly and balding might be a great husband. He might buy you the flowers. He might be so appreciative of your time, loves you, and he'd just give you the moon, the world, the sun, and the sky. So I don't know. And this is what, but you'd rather sleep with the guy occasionally. My grandmother used to say a woman will take a broke, dusty, homeless man in a minute, but a woman in the same predicament will be left on the street by men. I don't think they're doing that anymore. I think that they're probably true high vibe for the past. My grandmother used to say a woman will take a broke, dusty, homeless man in a minute. That I think that was true in the past, but they're not doing that anymore. Unless his pickle is 12 inches. I mean, but a woman in the same predicament will be left on the street by men. I don't think that's true. I don't know about that one. I think men would have taken a woman. I think so. As long as she's faithful. Maybe. I don't know. It's not even about looking stupid. People act like AIDS and herpes has been eradicated. We care about our reproductive health. I don't know. You see the show that V and I did? We had a doctor on recently. Something like 1 in 2 black women have hurt. I still can't. No. Well, actually, the doctor said it was like 1 in 5. I can't. The doctor said it was 1 in 5. The article, I think that the article, I think that there was a problem with the way the articles are written. It sounds to me, and I can't verify this, but it sounds to me like of the new cases, 1 in 2 black women are coming down with herpes. I can't believe that 1 or 2 black women between the ages of 19 and 45 have herpes. I just don't believe that. The doctor said she thinks it's 1 in 5, which is still crazy high. But I think that the way the article was written, it says 1 in 2. But whatever. Come on, y'all. Let's get to 35 likes. 35 likes. Hobosexuals. Yeah, you're probably right. Yeah. This world is true, posh, and easy for women. They won't understand the consequences of truly being alone and unsupported in the world. The government is the ultimate white horse. That's why I don't believe that. That's why I don't believe that percentage, 1 in 2. I just don't believe that. Yeah, you're right. But listen, and a lot of this stuff is being rolled back. DEI's rolled back, Medicaid, other government benefits. We talked before you just got here, but we talked before about the rolling back of college loans. There's a lot of less people going to be going to school because they're going to be capping out on $100,000 and all this kind of stuff, right? $100,000 for like a master's degree, or I don't know if that's master and PhD, but if you want to go for professional education, it's only $200,000. So that's going to stop a lot of people from going to law school, medical school or dentistry. So that's an issue. That's an issue, and that's how a lot of people got out of the middle class or lower classes, right? You had good grades. You could at least get some good grades, take some student loans out, bam, go become a doctor. Issue that way is not going to be there anymore,
These millions and millions of views and likes and sharing of content of them saying how hard it is to find the right man and how lonely they are and how upset they are and how they regret their divorce. I think 2 things are true. I think that there's women who are genuinely okay with being on their own. They got peace. They're fine. They're not looking for partnership and they're cool. Like they don't want kids or like that exists. There are people like that. A huge percentage of women are not.
100%, yeah.
And the social factor of constantly trying to measure what you're going to do with your life, your marriage, your livelihood and financial situation based on how other people who don't pay none of your bills, who aren't going to do much for you and can't fulfill your needs in any of these other categories. Listen, the harsh truth is if fathers and uncles and male role models had more say, had more influence, and were respected enough to even be asked their opinion, none of this would be new information.
Mm-hmm.
They would tell you there's this group of men you probably want to avoid and stay away from.
We need vetting on both sides. Men need to say, this guy ain't it. Women need to peep game about some girl that some guy is dating. That's not going on. And we got this mess. This is an issue. Our vetting is not up to par.
And there's the group of men that you need to cling to no matter what. And this is how you identify them. Do not spend your teens and your 20s chasing all these men that's going to do all these things. You're probably never going to be able to have a man that successfully checks off 10 out of 10 boxes every season, every year for the rest of your life. So when he loses his job, when he has a slip up, when he has a down season emotionally, when he's not the best father, husband, partner, he forgets some special occasion, you have to find a man that you're willing to deal with the rigors of life, even when he doesn't always live up to all 10 boxes. Because guess what? You don't check all 10 boxes.
No, that's absolutely.
Melanie checked off all 10 boxes.
Melanie does.
Right. But the point I'm making is, remember what I said about that 70, 80% initiation breakup and divorce thing? It's not because women are checking off all the boxes and showing up in all the ways that they agree that they would. It's just men are still willing to stay.
Mm-hmm.
I said something to my wife. She was so mad. I've said it in public settings. She cussed me out. She came back and said, and now when I say it in front of other people, she's like, you know what, y'all? He right. What if we viewed when you get in a relationship with a man, and y'all are going to be monogamous, right? And you agree that the only person he's going to have sex with, both now and pre-marriage, during marriage, for the rest of your lives, the only way he's going to have a sexual outlet is through you. And you arbitrarily decide for a couple weeks, for a couple months, for a few years, that for whatever reason, I'm not feeling it. I'm not attracted to him anymore. I don't love him anymore. I'm not this, I'm not on that.
He's not showing enough leadership. I got to shut it down. I don't like he talked to the kids. He didn't take the dog out for a walk when I asked him to. Last name first says, a woman has to be very careful about who she elevates. A lesser man has to have the right attitude. Otherwise, give him a chance. Their ego gets inflated and they start to think they're better than you. I think that goes both ways, unfortunately, and that's part of the vetting process. And if we had better vetting process and better family structure, then this would not be an issue. You know, a lot of these issues, right? You know, I'm no expert in other cultures, but I can't imagine it going on in other cultures, right? The Indian population, right? Their marriage rates like 91% or something like that. You know, Chinese marriage rates are up there too. Oh, American Chinese, not not those in China, right? So I mean, somehow we all have the same, you know, estrogen and testosterone and, you know, and likes and dislikes, but somehow these people are figuring it out, and their attitude and all this kind of stuff, right? We got to really collectively deal with our trauma, and we got to figure that out. We need these therapists and psychologists and stuff to really do what they're doing, man, and really get on it, you know, because this is affecting us. It's affecting our ability to partner up. The fathers need to be in the home first. That you know, that talk, I get that, I understand that, but that goes both ways, right? We can't have mothers not being selective. You can't be. First of all, the numbers about men, the men who are having babies. I mean, I've gone through the numbers. I don't remember them off the top of my head, but more women, more Black women in particular, something like 60%, 61% of Black women have children, something like that, between the ages of 19 and 45, 61%. And then it's something like 41% of men, and there's 2 million more Black women. So if there's less men having children and more women are having the children, that shows you again that they're sleeping with the same men. So you got to pick, you got to select better. We went over this, the gatekeeper thing. This is them saying this. You got to select better. Do we need to raise our boys better to have them want to be husbands, to know what it is to be a husband? Absolutely, 100%. Do we need this type of monogamy that they're talking about, where, you know, where you select the guy who is going to be a better father rather than the guy who's got the swag? It's a selection process on both sides. It's a selection process on both sides. We also know that men want to be fathers. There's also new survey data that says men want to be married more. So men want to be fathers. Black men in particular are the most involved fathers. Even if they're not in the home, they're still the most involved. So, you know, all this, we gotta be honest about what we're talking about here. And it's not just about in the home. It's about being present, talking to your children, all that kind of stuff. So, yeah. Let's see here. What else? Oh, women are literally paying men in China to get married, and and men still aren't taking the bait. Literally paying men in China to get married. Are they doing that? Is that a new story? You got all the stories about China, man. I didn't see that one where they're paying men to get married. I know that they're not showing up at different events. I know that they're not paying, the men aren't paying the dowries anymore. So yeah, those cultures 1,000 years old could be a factor. Yeah, I mean, this is what I'm saying. We got to deal with our trauma. We got to deal with our trauma. We really got to deal with it. I'm going to be honest. I don't know if it can happen in America. I think we might have to go back to the continent because there's too much westernization is going on, and our minds are warped. Our minds are warped. Hip hop, it's just crazy. Band apps, got you. Yep. Darabin songs, welcome. Fit, friendly, and agreeable. We are getting herpes and other sexually transmitted diseases to ourselves. Yeah. Yep. The females of a species do not go into heat unless the right conditions exist. Well, unfortunately, the right condition sometimes is guys whose pants is swagging and doesn't have a car, and smoke Black and Miles and smokes weed every day. Unfortunately, that gets a lot of women going, and he's 40 years old, still trying to start his rap career. So, Dr. L, do you think deadbeat fathers are filling out surveys saying that they have kids are not in homes? You know they're not. So stop referring to these so-called surveys. So where we, but okay, so that's the survey. I assume you're talking about the surveys about who's the most involved, but we also know about birth certificates and who's having the kids. So we know who has the kids, and 2 million more. 61% of women have kids, and I went over this data not long ago. 61% of women have kids between 19 and 45, Black women, and I think that of that 61% who have kids, something like 40% of them have them before they're 20, and there's still less men who have kids. The ones they're putting on the birth certificates. So no matter what way you slice it, there's still a mate selection problem, and you're still sleeping with the same men. And if you got guys like Future, just for an example, there's other guys out here like this with 8 baby mamas and 7 baby mamas. It's a selection process. The pre-selection process is being shorted out by unfortunately by ladies. We talked before about in the program. Ladies want a man that everybody else wants. You want a socially upwardly mobile man. We got it. Get it. Great. So you see this guy and you say to yourself, man, he's got, not you, but he's got 3 baby mamas. Oh man, he must be putting it down. Let me go over here and become his 4th baby mama. Why would you think that? Not you again, but why do women think that way? So the mate selection problem, or the pre-selection problem that a lot of women have, and I'm calling it a problem, not that it's necessarily a bad thing, but because you want a man that everybody else wants, it's being short-circuited by the current climate that we live in, because you're dealing with that type of thing, but we're still living in a monogamous culture, so it can't match up. So we gotta defeat that with our brains, with our big human brains and our prefrontal cortexes. We got to defeat that, and we got to say to ourselves, I don't want, I see this guy's got 3 baby mamas. I see his pants are sagging. I know he did a bid. I know he's got his Yankee cap on, his turned backwards. I know he walks with a limp. I know he's been shot a few times. I know he's done all this, but I can't select this guy to be my baby's father. And what's really shouldn't happen is you shouldn't select him at all, because once he becomes imprinted on you, then a good guy who's going to buy you gifts and dote all over you, you don't want that guy. You think he's lame, he's corny, he's too easy, he don't give me a challenge. This is the issue that ladies have to really deal with, in particular in our communities. You got to confront this full head on. You got to look at the numbers full head on and ask ourselves why this is going on. I wonder what percentage of those women are having children in the first and second marriages. I went through all those numbers before. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I know of the 61% of women who have babies, I think it's 40% of them have them before the age of 20 in the Black community. That is an issue we really got to deal with. But again, I went over the numbers. I think it was a members only video. Maybe I'll release it. I don't know. Debbie fathers are not filling out surveys. Yeah, my father damn sure wasn't. We will stink of the revolution. Women are offering to foregoing the bride price, paying the man a monthly stipend just to be a stay-at-home dad. Oh, that can't be a lot of women over there, man. In China, that can't be a lot of women over there. And those women over there in China, right? They want to be, from the videos that we played, we reviewed. They want you to make the money, you to pay the bride price, you to pay the monthly stipend, come home and help her cook. And she hasn't done anything all day. Who is signing up for that? We need rights passage for our boys and girls. Absolutely. I definitely agree with that. High vibe. that is a ultimate goal of mine. I'm working with my son about that because I think again they're going to listen to someone who's closer to their age. Who my son is about to turn 29. They're not going to listen to a 50-year-old guy, but they'll listen to a 30-year-old guy. That's my philosophy. Last, they want to bear the brunt of our extinction. Most women are not withholding sex over cracker crumbs on the couch. One thing that severely impacts sexual attraction is a man that does not nurture emotionally, behaves like a child. I get that. I don't doubt that at all. I don't doubt that at all. Well, Sierra chose better, and men call Russell a simp. Yeah, because Russell didn't. I understand that Russell had no kids. I mean, of all the women, I know he made a financial decision and all that, but of all the women in the world, all the women on the planet, and I'm sure that there was another pop star or whatever who her personality must be sparkling. And, I don't know. But yes, you're right. Men in this space do not look up to Russell for that. I agree with you, Dr. Hunter. I'm taking a trip to the Middle East, need a break from this westernized mindset. It's bananas here. It's bananas. Let's see. Dabarin songs. Can y'all see me? my page just crashed there. Hope y'all can see me. Let's see here. Let's see. A lot of girls are selecting boys. Okay, yeah, my page just crashed. I had to refresh. A lot of girls are selecting boys like their daddies, uncles, brothers. Is familiar. Yeah, and that's the problem. That's the problem we got to break. That's the problem we got to break. Their neighborhoods and all that kind of stuff, right? That's the problem we got to break. My father, for example, admitted never had witnessed any birth of any of his kids, so he's not much on any birth certificate. He lost count of the amount of kids he had. Father, I kid you not. Right. So this is the problem, right? So again, these are all estimates and all that. So here's one guy with 10 kids, all of them by one woman. Do the other women know about the other ones? That's part of the vetting process too. You got any boyfriends? You got any husbands? Excuse me, you got any wives, girlfriends? How many kids you got? You got to ask those questions. You got to ask those questions, right? First, most men are crying for a tradition they are not emotionally and financially prepared for. Look for bad, you'll find it. Peaceful life, what's going on, brother? Dr. L, you disappoint them because by being fair, balanced, and not pandering like Derek Jackson, pandering in black men ain't ish. They only going to accept. Yeah. Goes to Kevin Samuels came through. Yeah. Let's see. Seeing you now. Okay, very good. Let's finish this up. Thank y'all for coming on. Oh, sorry. This thing crashed, like I said. So let me share screen here.
To practice the sexual exclusivity with just you, that is cheating. But when you have an agreement that this man and you two are going to do this, and he can only get access from you, and you omit, withhold sex, especially if you weaponize it, you're being unfaithful.
You're being unfaithful. That's his philosophy. 44 watching, 34 likes. Y'all hit the like button. Let's get up to 40 likes. Let's get it up to 40 likes. Thank you for that, Rhonda. Yeah, my father strategically picked women with no strong male presence in their life. And this is the problem. I'm not saying it's not a problem. I address this from both angles, right? These women need strong male role models in their life so they can select better. Just I'm telling the women to ask the questions about how many men you have, how many baby mamas you have, what kind of job you work at, what do you do for a living. You got to ask that. You got to have men in your life to help to do that, right? And the men got to step up and ask the same questions. How many kids do you have? Are you violent? I mean, what's your emotional health like? Are you nurturing, right? What's your relationship like with your father, right? There's predators out there, no doubt. There's predators out there, no doubt.
Yeah.
And what if men broke up with women and girlfriends and wives when they're sexually unfaithful for more than 2 weeks? I
2
bet the
weeks.
data. Yeah. And not for physical, child labor or some physical situation, just because. That's. What if men left relationships with all these women that are being sexually unfaithful? That is the equivalent for us. You are being unfaithful when you obligate this man to only come to you for sex, and he can't have access to it because you've weaponized the ability for him to do it because he didn't take out the trash, because he didn't get the right flowers, because he wasn't romantic enough, because of this or because of that. When you're tired, your ass still go to work. When you're frustrated.
But nobody wants here just taking sex. I mean, I hear this argument. That is such a complicated thing, because who wants here just shut up, here just take it, here just finish off? Who wants that? I mean, that's nobody wants that. He said something else I want to cover.
Physical, child labor or some physical situation, just because that's. What if men left relationships with all these women that are being sexually unfaithful? That is the equivalent for us. You are being unfaithful when you obligate this man to only come to you for sex, and he can't have access to it because you've weaponized the ability for him to do it because he didn't take out the trash, because he didn't get the right flowers, because he wasn't romantic enough, because of this or because of that. When you're tired, your ass still go to work.
Let me tell you, man, that is the worst, to be in a situation like that, and just constantly begging for sex. What's not talked about are women who have had strong fathers who set the bar. There aren't many men raised with that standard. What are the pool of women to do? Yeah, listen, we're advocating for stronger men. At least we are over here. I know that's an issue, and my daughter's facing that. My daughter will tell you she's facing that. I was there. My daughter's living with me every single day of her life. Every day of her life, she has lived with me, and she's having the same problem. These guys are inconsistent. They don't know how to be gentlemen. They don't know how to take leadership. They don't. So tell you all that. And the guys who do have it together want to run around. This is where we got to convince them. There's got to be a social penalty. We have to. You talked about what do we talk about? What's the word there? The phrase there? Rites of passage. We talked about rites of passage. There has to be a social penalty when you don't adhere to the social norms of the group. When I joined the police department, the captains used to stand in roll call and tell all those new guys, we were 22, 23, 24, 25, you guys got to get wives. A lot of churches now, when I understand, like a lot of ministers aren't married. That you're setting the precedent. You got to get a wife. The deacons, it's freaking in the Bible. Bishops and pastors and deacons had to be the husband of one wife. It says it verbatim. So these people are letting down the standard. There is no social penalty. You shouldn't be able to join the Elks or whatever the Elks, the Masons, the black versions of them. You can't do anything actively in the church. Not that black men go to church anymore. You can't. We're not going to make any kind of connections for you. Let's just say, you and I are lawyers, and I'm not going to recommend you to a construction company or whatever, because the head of the construction company doesn't have a job. Doesn't have a wife. There has to be a social penalty. That's what I think is a missing component of what's going on with the black community. We have to have social penalties. You can't come to this hair salon unless you're married. That may be an extreme, but this is what we have to have. If we owned our own schools, you want to teach at a school, you got to have a husband, you got to have a wife, because we set standards over here. What I'm saying is extreme, but this is how we get things done. Otherwise, we got exactly what this man is talking about in these communities. People are sleeping with each other's wives and husbands. Nobody's faithful. There's no penalties for it, right? Our only penalty is the government. That has been a great downfall of the black community, always relying on the government. We have to stop relying on the government and rely on ourselves. We got to build these institutions. That's what they're called, institutions. We got to build them, from our schools to our churches, our colleges and universities. You know, we got to formulate our own construction companies. All this, we got to figure that out. Let's see here. Yeah, well, that's true. Yeah, you'll be absconded by the group. Yeah, but that's the issue there. The issue is that the group has no power. That's the issue. The group has no power. Shaming from the pastor, shaming. There's no penalty for it. I can still. Who cares? I still got my bag. I just go on vacation. I just go over here. I just travel over here. Still going on the airplane, right? Because there's no penalty. This is what we're talking about. Integration was a blessing and a curse, because there's no penalty for any of these social behaviors that have caused this degeneracy that we can see going on here. We're still buying the music that says the N-word in it, still going to comedy clubs where we don't own, and they're using the N-word on the stage. And then we wonder what's going on here, right? And these other people put up Sexy Red, they put up Cardi B, they put up all this foolishness for us to watch. We watch it. Real Housewives of Atlanta and all this other garbage.
When you're frustrated at work with your boss, you still respect them. You still follow the rules. You know, like in every other area of life, you figure out a way to still show up. But then when it comes to this particular area, where he can't go to outside, when you don't want to cook, he can order takeout. He can order delivery. When you don't want to clean, he can hire somebody to come in and clean. But when this area that you've made that says he can only get it from you, you don't show up in. What if that's an area of unfaithfulness that's heavily contributing to this whole situation?
And I do agree with you 100% to an extent. I think 2 weeks is very dramatic. With women's hormones, like we get a little bit nuts sometimes, and that's just how we are. But
I'm setting the bar high for my man.
You are really.
Maybe y'all can negotiate from there. I'm not starting at a month. Like 2 weeks, then we can negotiate.
Yeah,
That's
totally.
Yeah, I know, Miles. I'm not claiming to be a biblical scholar or pushing religion, but I am saying that the church was a fundamental. When I say church, I mean Islam too, the Nation of Islam. I don't really care. I'm just talking about strong communities, and it was a binding factor of the community. And we could have, the church, if done correctly, could have inoculated us against all this crazy foolishness. I played the video last time on this for the part one of this, where the pastor was talking about 50-50 in the church. She knows that times have changed. She knows that one guy making the household income is not going to make it. You can't tell this man to work from sun up to sundown. He'd be dead when he's 40 years old. What are you talking about? Right? So there's a certain level of modernization that should have come. But this idea that you're going to call these men half a men and then wonder why they don't come to church? Crazy. Crazy. Holding black women condoms doesn't pay. Even black women can't do it. Pandering is all to accept.
Totally. What I think that is really interesting. Like, if they're like, let's say it's a month, right? Like, which I would say is a long time to not have sex with your partner. Like, I would agree that a month is a long time. Obviously, like even 2 weeks is. I also agree that that's a long time. I don't think it's a divorce reason, but I would agree it's a while. What would you be like? Why doesn't the woman allow him to go see another woman, or why doesn't the man ask to go see another woman? Let's say a sex worker or something like that.
Because you were born in a society where monogamy and monogamous relationships are normalized. That's the only difference. And you'll be shamed by the other women if they find out something's going on. If you were born in a society or culture where it was very normal for a man to have a concubine or have 1 or 2 or 3 women that, sister wives or whatever, and this is normal, it's natural, it's been happening for 500 years in your culture, this wouldn't even be a conversation. So the reality is, in Western culture, as we become more individualistic, less communal, we're all about self and what we want and our desires, not even about our kids or about the man or about the family or the nuclear. This is the consequence. There's pros and cons to all of this. No matter which side of the aisle you pick, this is just the one where my interest is more so on the outcomes. Are women in mass globally in Western countries getting the outcomes they say they want? If they're unmarried and they want to be, they're single but they don't want to be, they want kids but can't find a guy to do it, and and they're constantly in competition and comparison mode with the women around them. The reality is the market's already moved in a direction where women are sharing men whether they realize it or not. You are. You're sharing women when he's cheating. You're sharing him in Atlanta, Georgia. I had a woman last year. We were at a friend's house and we were all hanging out, and she was saying that the dating market is so skewed because a huge percentage of the men that go down to Atlanta and live in Atlanta are gay or bi. So the ratio of men to women is like heterosexual men is like 10-1.
That's got to be something too, right? Where that's going on there, man. That's got to be like abuse going on too. Maybe I'm saying too much here, but what is going on in Atlanta? What is going on with that, man? And particularly because the women want straight men.
These guys are going on dates with 3 women simultaneously in Atlanta.
Wow.
Everything's out. Well, he got the lie for. That's not cheating, because he's in an environment where he now realizes what it is, and she realizes he needs to make, look, and be a certain level for me to be okay with something like this, and they're fine. That's actually what a lot of human history is actually resemble. The more desirable a man was in every ancient culture.
So I hear this last name, but I want you to understand this from a man's perspective. From a man's perspective, you're a man. You go to school. You do the right thing. You are. You're not the jock at the school at high school. You're not the jock in college, but you're doing the right thing. You go off to become an engineer, become a lawyer, something well paying or whatever. In this case, Russell Wilson. The women around you don't want you. They called you lame, corny, et cetera, et cetera. That probably wasn't Russell's case, right? As being a jock, I'm sure he had his pick of the litter. This is the frustration that people have with him. He has a pick of the litter. Now, just imagine you're not wanted, you're overlooked, and this woman. I know this sounds bad from a woman who has any woman who's hearing this, who made a mistake, quote unquote, and had a baby out of wedlock. I understand that. I am not one to beat the ladies up for this. I understand that. And listen, I'm married. Both of my marriages, the ladies had kids. So I'm just saying that this is a new type of thing, in particular in the Black community, where the thought process is stop doing this. Stop doing this because guys are doing better. 54% of men are in the middle class. Black men are in the middle class. Black men are doing something. Still out earn Black women, even with all the degrees and all that. So Black men are not as dusty as people claim to think that they are. The problem is, and again, this was brought up about making sure the men are in the home. It's the selection problem. You're selecting for this Pookie and Ray Ray type. So unfortunately, Sierra selected this Pookie type, even though Future's got money, still a Pookie type. Things don't work out. Now you want to bring that to the guy who did the right thing all his life. And guys are like, no. We're not going for that anymore. Add to that, the ladies, I just did a video about this the other day. The ladies are now saying in videos, yeah, I knew my husband's a simp, telling their sons, don't do what your stepfather did. So not only are men saying, wake up kind of this, but when they're hearing women say, yeah, these guys who do this are simps. So that's why they kind of dump on Russell Wilson, because he's NFL player, got money, smart, good looking, whatever, all this stuff. And this is what you do. That's where it comes from. I know that may be damaging and hard to hear and unpopular and all that, but this is where it comes from. And what's real, again, let me finish this off with saying what's really shocking is that the ladies are now admitting, yeah, if I didn't have this kid, I wouldn't have been with you. Don't do what your stepfather did. That's crazy. That's crazy work. I hope I hope that makes it plain here. Let's see. His sister Shahrazad Ali tried to save them. The Black female feminist tried to crucify her. Yeah. mocked as little maids, I would be offended. People are into their names and titles. Okay.
Is he following the rules that y'all are trying to put on men today? The equivalent, if you are a top 1% man, you're 6 feet tall, you make 6 figures, and if you are white, black, or Hispanic, you are desired by 80% of women that's on the planet.
I'm saying that she should have made whatever decision that she should have wanted for herself. I think that single women should get, mothers with kids should get with fathers with kids. Yeah, I think that. You bring drama to somebody else's life. Now, for the rest of Russell's life, he's going to be tied to Future somehow, some way. The kids grow up, they get married. The kids grow up, they get married. You're going to go to the wedding, and then Future's going to be there. I mean, why sign up for that? I know that this is hard to hear. I understand that. I understand that. But, and I also hear the point. I'm very sensitive to this. I hear the point that women say, I did this before. It didn't work out. And now I want to do better. I want to turn my life around. And I applaud that. But to the guy who did the right thing his whole life, why should he sign up for that? And every time I ask that, and I ask a woman if she had a son, what would she tell her son to do? Nobody's ever said, yeah, okay. Well, some do try to dance around it and say, well, if my son really loved her, then I'd tell him to do it. But you can see in their face that they're fighting with that because they know it. They know it.
Period. It's Asian men who struggle the most. And then when you flip it, Asian women, depending on the stat, are usually number one in most desirability globally, then white women, then Hispanic women, and then black women last. So that's the stats. That's the truth. It's not all great. But if fathers and uncles weren't welcome to give you a heads up over the last decade, you went the last decade through trial and error.
Right.
Nobody does this. Nobody was doing this historically. Trial and error, recreational sex.
He's right about that. This is the cultural breakdown. We know it came from slavery, and we didn't do enough to really hold together to stick through the times, Jim Crow, etc. We didn't create the strong family unit. We tried through Nation of Islam, we tried through church, but for whatever reason, the 1960s hit, and bam, it was just a completely different thing. And this is why, as we mentioned, these other ancient cultures, they got it together. Now, some of them are becoming westernized, and we see what's going on in China, and that's creating an issue. So this Western culture, Western feminism is a plague. Y'all hit the like button.
Being liberated. Listen, you can vote, you can own a home, you can rack up a credit card if you want to. There's a lot of great things that women haven't gotten access to, but there were also consequences that came from it.
Of course.
I literally told you I had almost 75 women that wanted to match with me from 2 hours in one city in 30 minutes.
The point is that men validate and create culture. Women perpetuate it. Men lead the charge in calling men loving their wives and providing, etc. simps, because men set the culture. I hear this all the time. I'm not a cultural anthropologist. I don't know who sets the culture. I think we probably do it together. If I set a standard in my home, you got to agree with it. And if I set the standard in my home, we go outside, and then we go to a community center, we go to a church. We all come together, and we got to agree to this culture. And it seems to me that we're not agreeing upon what should be done. Are we a matriarchy in the Black community in particular? A matriarchy, matrifocal, focus on the woman, or are we a patrifocal or patriarchy? Which one are we? We have this baby mama stuff. The government is heavily involved. We run to the government, right? You're not paying child support. We run to the government. We don't have any shame. Shame is a huge part of culture. You talk about the ancient civilizations, the Indians and the Chinese. Shame is huge in those cultures. In Japan, saving face, we don't have any of that. We walk around with our bellies, with women, unmarried women, walk around with their bellies out, making rap videos. And then when the men try to say something about it, try to tell you what we want, what we like, It's ignored. It's ignored. We don't care. We don't care you don't like the raptor nails. We don't care you don't like us when we're pregnant. You're gonna take me when we're pregnant. You're gonna take me and my 2 kids. Come on.
And another. Hadn't even gone through the city yet. That's the reality of it. And guess who created that market and killed chivalry? It wasn't us.
Yeah.
It wasn't us. Like there was an era where I had to do and own and have so much to even be at a space where I could approach your parents about wanting to talk to you. You wanted that going. I can choose. Your only way of choice is through experiences. And if you're going decade after decade, experiencing, is it making you healthier, whole, happier? Are you making you feel more helpless, hopeless? Like, what's wrong with me? What's wrong?
I'm not sure I agree with that. Last name first. We have to face the fact that a lot of black men, what do you call them? A lot of black men value and respect the wrong male behaviors, irresponsibility, promiscuity, lack of monogamy, and family structure. I don't know if a lot of this is the point that we're trying to say, is I don't think that a lot of black men respect that. Again, 54% of black men don't have kids and are in the middle class. Those men are working. 40% of men, 41% or so of men have kids at all. Black men have kids at all. So that's that. A lot of them are being responsible. Some of them don't have access to women. That's true. You know, I don't know if it was you, but we talked about the surveys. You don't want to hear about the survey numbers about most black men are in somehow involved in their children's lives, somehow involved, not living with them, but somehow involved, reading to their kids, doing homework with them, whatever. Don't want to hear that. I think it's the segment of people that we're around, that we have chosen to allow ourselves to be in our lives, and that we focus on and concentrate on, because again, the people that are doing something are overlooked because he don't have the swag. So you're not even you that guy don't even register on your radar. There's probably been times that you've walked around Target or Walmart. There's been a nice looking guy, but because of the job that he's worked at, he's not considered. He's not even on your radar. And I think that a lot of ladies just don't see that. There's guys out here, they may not have the 6 figures, but they would make good mates. And maybe with a little push, they can go a little bit farther, but they're not even registering on people's radar. You just said for centuries, women did not have a choice in even who they partnered with. So how do women set the culture? I said both. I said that both set the culture. And I'm saying that in our culture, it has to be agreed with and going along with. So if we set up a standard, here's what we're going to do. Here's the standard that men are going to set. And here's the standard that men are going to set as far as, let's just say it's a church, right? Here's what we're going to do in church. We're going to, you can't sing in the way I grew up in church, you can't sing in the choir unless you are, if you're pregnant, you can't sing in the choir. You can't be on the usher board. You can't do anything, right? This is the cultural standard. The cultural standard, when the women get pregnant, gets broken, yes, but sometimes by the men. I'm admitting that. If the pastor just starts going along with this because he doesn't want to lose money, you let down the standard. The standard goes both ways, right? Everybody is responsible for propagating the culture. It's said that women communicate the standard. That's fine, men, but both of us has to go along with it. The problem with American black culture is, number one, we have no standard. What is the standard? What is it? What is it? And when and if we try to set one up, be it through the church, be it through organizations, be it through what do we talk about? Graduation. I can never think of the term there for young boys. If there's rites of passage for young boys, if we do that, the women have to get on board and say, we're going to choose these men. And if you're still going to chase Pookie and Ray Ray, and some of the boys are not going to go along with it, right? All of this breaks the standard. All of this breaks the culture. All of this makes us look bad. The black community is forced matriarchy. Black women use the government to overthrow men. That's definitely agreed. Women set the culture because they are the first teachers of children. There's a lot of gainfully employed men who are disciplined enough to work, eat right, go to the gym. There's a lot to the gym and be whores. There again, the problem that I have with that is that the women are allowing it. If all the men went to work, let's just throw out a number. 80% of the men are really good dudes. They go to work, they want to be faithful, but yet they want to be whores, right? They don't want to settle down. They don't want to settle down, they just want to soul the royal oats. And then they go out to parties, they go to wherever they're gonna get, they're gonna go to where they're gonna go. And now when they get there, as we talked about already tonight, the guy got the hotel room and he scores that night. The problem is that he's scoring. You're not gatekeeping. Is it wrong that he's not fulfilling his ordained purpose, if you want to put it that way, of being a good role model in society, and he's just going out there and not choosing a wife? The only reason he's not choosing a wife is because he's going to get it from somewhere else. So if the women would lock it down, he wouldn't have that choice. That's High Vibe asked the question before. What is meant by the term gatekeeper? The women stop being gatekeeper. Why did they stop being gatekeeper? Again, we go back to the dating apps. Again, we go back to the birth control methods. Again, we go back to the baby deletions. These are all reasons why women are not being the gatekeepers. The floodgates were open. They said, we want to get our freak on too. You guys have been getting your freak on forever. And again, when you look at DNA and all that kind of stuff, we know that only 40% of men throughout all of history have ever copulated and been able to get access to women like that, right? Had babies. We talked about men being out at war, being gone for 3 years and all this kind of stuff, right? Who's sleeping with all the women and getting them all pregnant when the guys are all off in at war? Who's doing that? It's been the top 10% of guys. So I don't want to be blaming women, but it's crazy. It's crazy. All right. Oh, Dr. L, I lost a few friends for gatekeeping. I don't regret it. By friends, you mean male friends or female friends? Because I'm hearing that a lot of ladies are disrespecting women because, telling them to, what are you saving it for? Just give it up and this, that, and the other. Crazy. Last name first. Who sets what's considered cool? To answer your first question, I think both do, in all honesty. I think the men say, hey, listen, this is cool, this, that, and the other. And women select it just as much as the men because they're sleeping with those dudes. If the women would sleep with the guy with the pocket with the pocket thing, the Urkels, think about Urkel, right? If the women found that sexy, then then all the guys would turn into Urkels. When women looked at men in the 1950s and 1960s, right? They all wear suits. Martin Luther King, right? They're at these marches and suits on in August in Alabama, right? Malcolm X, right? But then hip hop comes along. They got the pants sagging down. And all the women shifted their attention from the Malcolm X's and the Martin Luther Kings and the Medgar Evers and all these other dudes who were trying to do something, right? And they all went over to follow these dudes. So we both set the standard. I put equal blame on them both. There's a saying that all the guys want to be this guy, right? You want to be that dude. You want to be that dude, whether it's the jock or whatever, right? Everybody wants to be tall, dark, handsome, right? Best haircut, right? Educated, whatever it is. You want to be that guy, right? Everybody wants to be that dude, but the women want to sleep with that dude, and so we're both feeding in on each other. Let's see. All right, let's finish this off here.
Wrong with the men? Like, that was the issue. Your mate selection. You get lucky if you find somebody.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Most people's experiences are yours, not Melanie's. nowadays.
100%. I know Mel is so lucky she has her husband. He's the absolute best.
Absolutely. Louis Vuitton and Balenciaga who would start making pocket protectors. If that was the style, right? Right. Instead of bags and stuff, you get you some Urkel glasses. Those things be $10,000. I mean, everybody, because that's who the women want to sleep with. Okay. But you don't want to sleep with that guy. You don't want to sleep with that guy. Come on, let's just call it what it is. You don't want that.
I'm thankfully enjoying the go through of everything. Like I don't have that angry woman mindset yet, maybe hopefully never, but just because I allow myself to kind of be present and allow myself to make connections organically instead of just online. And it feels a lot better. And I have a weird set of high self-esteem. So it's just, I feel okay about what's happening right now, but talk to me in 5 years to see if I'm still cool and see if it's okay. Sorry, what'd you say?
Do you want kids?
See, that's still up in the air for me. I could be good either way. Like it's not like a.
And here you run into women like this who don't know if they want to have kids. You think guys want to marry? If we're not going to have kids, what's the point of just getting married? I mean, I missed a little bit of this here, but we're running into that more and more. It's crazy.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Most people's experiences are yours, not Melanie's. Nowadays,
100%. I know Mel is so lucky she has her husband. He's the absolute best. I'm thankfully enjoying the go through of everything. Like I don't have that angry woman mindset yet, maybe hopefully never, but
and I've addressed this a couple of videos here. I agree with you, Miles. Again, that's a superficial argument. Maybe Pookie knows how to communicate. So what we need to do is get these dudes who dress like Urkel, act like Urkel, who are not that guy in high school, not that guy in college, not that guy at work. We got to get them to figure out how to be that dude, how to communicate, how to be able to talk, to know the game. That is definitely something that needs to be done. We talk about doing the right to passage school. That's got to be part of it. You got to go up here and game up women, right? You got to go over here and game up women. We used to have competitions like that. I talked about this, all you Generation X, we used to do that. Go to parks, amusement parks, go to the mall, see how many numbers you can get. Right? Is that happening anymore? Right? No, we're just sliding people's DMs and just let me just see, just try. Come on, man. So there's something to be learned from those Pookies. Absolutely.
Just because I allow myself to kind of be present and allow myself to make connections organically instead of just online, and it feels a lot better. And I have a weird set of high self-esteem. So it's just, I feel okay about what's happening right now, but talk to me in 5 years to see if I'm still cool and see if it's okay. Sorry, what'd you say?
Do you want kids?
See, that's still up in the air for me. I could be good either way. Like it's not like a thing. I know some women have like a real heartbeat of I want to be
it was corny, right? You look back at it, but it worked though, right? But that was game. That was building up confidence, building up, yeah, it was. That's what it was, man. That's what it was. That's what you had to do. Malls, parks. You're going to play basketball, go into the park, play basketball, go to the mall, go to amusement park. We used to here in Connecticut. We used to have a couple places, Great Adventures, Riverside. Go there and get numbers. Go to basketball games during the school season, right? At high school, right? Go to other towns, go get the girls' numbers and stuff. That's what you got to do. It's crazy. I used to see my son at games and stuff, like, drop him off, whatever. One time I didn't let him in the car. Like, you get any numbers? No, I didn't get any numbers. I kept the door locked. Man, come on, man.
mother, as feminine as I am. I know kids are in the cards for me, and I'm totally okay with that. But that's also like I see what my life, who I would want my ideal partner to be, and that would be an old man. So there's a lot of factors that I'm going through, and I feel really sad for a lot of my young women friends who are still trying to be moms and having to feed their eggs and all of these things that are coming with that. But I also see a lot of their freedoms, obviously, like the way that they're able to make money for themselves and their families, and they're not able to be supported by a man. Like, they don't have to live with that. So there's obviously the goods and bads, and I love everything you're saying. I think it's so great to get a male perspective, especially someone who's in the US. I know you experience things a lot differently than we do up here in Canada. But it's been really great. I know we've gone a little overtime, which I love. And I really want to say, just appreciate everything you've given us. I know we've obviously.
I think they're wrapping up. So we're gonna wrap up too. Thank you guys for checking out the show, the stream tonight. I really hope that we had a great conversation. I think that we had a great conversation, and I really, really appreciate it. Um, let's see, men set the standard, high vibe. Yeah, respect is a lost art. Men legit don't know how to be a true gentleman anymore. That's something I'm going to make a video about. I'm going to drop it. I'm going to record the video this week. I'm going to talk about that. What happened? I mean, again, what happened to men? I probably addressed it before, but this idea, men don't know how to be gentlemen, because women don't like it. You talk about setting a standard and talking about going both ways. Women don't like it, right? They think you're corny, think you're lame. They think, you don't have any swag. You don't have enough women, right? They feel as if they can walk all over you. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. Men today lack basic confidence. You're right about that. They have very little social skills in person. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So this thing is a problem. It is a problem. But a lot of it, this loss, again, I'm going to make a video, but I don't want to spill the whole thing. But a lot of this lack of confidence has come from this toxic environment of wokeness. Don't approach me in stores. Don't approach me here. Don't approach me at the gym. Don't talk to me here. Putting you on blast, taking screenshots and stuff, putting it on all over. That stuff has consequences. That stuff has consequences. So they have no gift of gab. So yeah, so that's one thing we got to work on, Anita. We got to work on getting these guys to understand what Pookie's doing right. There's some things Pookie's doing wrong. We don't want to imitate that, but there's some things he's doing right. Right? You got to become interesting. I played that video before with I can't remember her name, the coach there. You know, y'all are boring, right? You don't have anything to talk. You're boring because you're boring. You don't have anything going on. All you got going on is your job. You don't go to the gym. You're not working out. You're not learning new recipes. You're not working on your car. You're not working on your craft. You don't go see your mom. You don't take vacation. You're boring. So you don't have anything to talk about. And then you're scared to talk to a woman. Oh, it's a whole nother thing, man. It's a whole nother thing. Looking forward to, yeah, I'm going to do that this week. So, because I'm hearing this lame, boring, corny, men are scared stuff. I'm hearing it from a lot of people. So, Pookie is touching the people. Oh, we wish y'all would stop saying that. If a loser, uncouth doesn't like you, being gallant and polite, leave that type alone. Women on average ain't screaming down men for being polite, holding on doors. Okay. Okay, October. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, we got I agree that internet isn't always true and correct and right and all that kind of stuff. But I'm telling you, it's a lot worse than people think. When you go on dates with people and they tell you straight up front that they have friends with benefits, and they're saying this out their own mouth, it's absolutely wild out here. Anita be sneaking up on people, right? She'd be in the room for like an hour and don't tell nobody. All right, y'all. Y'all can always buy me some lunch. Let me see. A little boy the other day forgot to open the door for me, and his mother corrected him. And I said, "Oh, it's okay." She told me very frankly, "It's not." And she was absolutely, "Well, it's not. It's not." But this is the world that we're living in. And guys are confused. Should we talk to you? Should we not talk to you? Right? Then that makes them scared, shy. Now they're got a cotton mouth because they don't know if they should say the wrong thing, or you're gonna laugh at them and put them on Facebook or whatever. Crazy. Oh, thank you, Rhonda. Thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you for another great live. October, Dr. Element in NYC considered one of the rudest cities in the world, and I have not seen that. Okay, I've seen it. And I've been to New York. I don't think it's happened to me in New York. I know it happened in Arizona, Florida. It's happened here in Connecticut. It's happened a couple of different places. Hit the thumbs up. Y'all. Thank you so much, Anita. Anita, I was telling we got a good show coming up on Sunday. Anita and I are going to do a good show. So, let's see. All right, y'all. Thank you guys so much. I'm really, really tired, so I hope I can sleep tonight. So, I hope y'all also have a great weekend. as well. I got 2 shows on Sunday, one with Anita at 2, and the other one is at 7:30. So, all right, y'all. Have a great night, great weekend. Enjoy your Saturday. I'll see you guys on Sunday 2 times. Come back both times, y'all. If you're watching this replay, hit the like button. Take care of yourselves. Much love and peace.